I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, can we have a roll call, please, Bill?
Jasmine is absent and excused. Horn.
Here.
Underwood.
Here.
Gilman.
Here.
Lehman.
Here. How about approval of the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, second. There's a motion and support. Changes, good, way it is. Okay,
I don't see.
there were no exclusive additions. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Public comment. Phil will read the rules, and anyone who would like to speak to us, you're welcome to speak.
Any person may make an advance appointment with the board regarding road commission topics for a regular or special meeting in accordance with the Open Meetings Act. If an appointment is made, the topic will be an agenda item. The following applies to public comments. Please state your name and township or district. Topic must be relevant to the road commission. Individuals are allowed to speak once for up to 3 minutes on a single topic, which may be extended by the chair. A group addressing the board requires a designated spokesperson who may speak up to 10 minutes. The board will not act on any item from the public that is not on the agenda.
Okay. Supervisor Saunders.
Good afternoon, Road Commission. Laura Sanders, Peninsula Township Supervisor. Couple things. One, again, Dan Watkin, shout out to you. You've been doing a fabulous job. So thank you for everything that you've been doing. I'd like to address you guys because I know that you have Andy Smits, County Drain Commissioner, on the agenda for tonight. And I'm here to provide support with what he will be presenting to you. I'll be discussing a few things, but the Old Mission Drainage District, that's in the village of Old Mission. As you know, we experienced pretty significant flooding and road washout during the last storm event. So I'm here to express support for what he'll be presenting and also on behalf of all the folks up in the village of Old Mission. And then on top of that, one of the items that pertain to the flooding happened to be at the corner of Bowers Harbor Road and Peninsula Drive. I would like to get some follow-up from the road commission on that. There was a berm built years ago before I was supervisor, and it was preventing the water flowing to the drainage ditches and then preventing it to get in the bay, and it was causing some significant property flooding. And then just to tack on Bluff Road, everybody's least favorite topic from Peninsula Township. But this last series of storms caused even more and more of that hillside to be clawed away and eroded into the bay. And we know that the road is closed, but eventually it's going to start creeping across and pulling at that hillside. And there are homes there. So I don't want that to be lost. I would like that to remain, top of mind and a continued conversation. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I don't have an appointment, but
You don't need one. Just come up here and just tell us your name and your address and speak your mind.
hi, I'm Marcia Wheaton and I'm a resident of Chelsea Park Condos off of Hartman Road for 10 years in August. And first off, let me say thank you for getting us some assistance with traffic. It's been great there on Cass. It's been very helpful. I have not yet approached 31 from Hartman, but I understand that light's now operating. So I did want to thank you for that. But I had a suggestion. My 10 years living there, I really don't think a light is necessary at Cass and Hartman. But I think a little roundabout would be incredible because during rush hours, it gets really crazy and people are just driving nutty, taking chances and stuff, trying to get out there and stuff. So if there's any way you could consider doing a roundabout at Cass and Hartman, that'd be incredible. And then I think it's a state decision on the speed limit on 31, but coming over that hill, if there's any way they could get it down to like 45, then maybe people be going 50, 55, because they just come flying down towards, and it'll be a red light at South Airport and they're still just zooming in. So that'd be really wonderful too. So if that could be something that could be considered at some point, getting that speed limit lowered to 45 prior to that hill, I guess, and then a roundabout. of Cass and Hartman. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you. Anyone else?
My name is Randall Kurtzman. I'm at 4012 Sweeney, which is right next to the Hazard Beach. And I understand Andy Smith's going to be presenting on the proposed project. So I was here to support that in general. I haven't seen all the details of it to see if I have any comments on it. But in general, they did a great job responding to the emergency and with the people they brought in, the pumping, and they got the flooding in the area taken care of in pretty short order, and it was pretty serious. And there's still erosion issues right at the inlet going to the lake that still needs to be tended to. There's a pond that's formed and needs to be drained and filled in, and it's undermining the culvert, the concrete culvert there. So I'm sure Nancy's still view it or will be filmed here. But I just wanted to offer support and thanks for the effort and response during the flood.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll close public. Oh, sorry. Is there a conflict of any interest on anything on the board members that I left off before public comment? No, hearing none. Okay, thank you, Jim. Action items. Mr. Lemko.
How's everybody doing today? So in front of you, have a resolution to support Long Lake Township. Long Lake Township received a $3 million grant to do a planning and a demonstration for safety, mostly for EMS and fire. So when the fire trucks or EMS go to calls, it's how do we make some of our areas safer? So some of it could involve the road commission, like asking us to put a better crosswalk or a timed crosswalk or like a hawk system, temporarily, some type of area through like Gilbert, Taylor is maybe, or by Movers, just something to come up with. These are simply things that we can put in, but must be able to be taken out. We can't pave anything that stuff. So our goal is how do we respond to accidents safer? How do we get our patients back into town safer? And this grant includes Long Lake, Grand Traverse County, Leland, and Benzie. So it's a pretty big, significant area. So part of it is that 20% has to come from in kind as well, that $3 million. So part of it also includes how do we help with people that are older. Some of the study can involve community paramedicine. So where our paramedics from the station would actually go to the residents and deal with them versus them having to go to the doctor's office. So it helps take some of the vulnerable people off the street. Also, we will study how blood can be delivered to accident scenes better. And so even at our emergency service station, we'll have an area where with Munson and stuff like that, they can land their drone there with blood. So these are some things we're looking at, come up with different ways where, today's technology in vehicles where they know an ambulance or fire truck's coming, they'll notify them through their radios. A lot of times you don't hear ambulances anymore because their cars are too, insulated and stuff like that. So we're trying to come up with different things. Same with like, if you ever watch a state police car when it pulls up to a scene and there's two of them, their lights sync. So some of it cool where we get our emergency vehicles in the surrounding area to where they'll all sync at the same time. So when you get there, instead of all mismatched flashing, they all are the same look when they get there. So these are types of things that we're going to go forward with this grant to study in Long Lake to see what we do. And the good thing is that if we do it right and the demonstration comes out right, it could bring millions of dollars to implement these things throughout Grand Traverse County and the Eastern area. So we're just looking for your support because it could involve roads and say, hey, we're looking for you to say, hey, we want to demonstrate this here. It may be where we say, hey, can you have your engineer help us out? Maybe that becomes an in-kind instead of some way to pay to do that type of stuff. And so part of the grant is also to go out and buy those things, put them in. If they work, they work. If they don't, we pull them up. So that's what I'm here asking for your support for that.
Commissioners.
I'll make the motion to support resolution 2026-05-06. Therefore be it resolved that the Board of County Road Commissioners of Grand Traverse County hereby publicly declare that support of the Safe Streets for All grant projects to be carried out by the Charter Township of Long Lake.
1 second. Okay. Let me ask a couple of questions. Sure, we.
All right. So when we pledge our support
for something. Does this obligate us in any way to a particular type of construction improvement type? When we're, say, rebuilding a road, for example? I mean, so if we, I mean, do we have, additional obligations then by supporting such a thing where we have to build an additional bike lane, for example, under the Safe Streets for the U.S. Department of Transportation's Safe Streets things? I mean, I guess I'm a little less supportive if that's the case, because sometimes we are operating under necessity. We have limited resources at the same time. I don't want to tie our hands in the future either.
This comes from the EMS side of the federal government support.
Okay.
So it doesn't come to the Safe Streets. I mean, it's called Safe Streets, but this is your
Streets for all.
Streets for All. So this comes from the federal government on the EMS side that says we want to figure out how to get our emergency service personnel to and from accidents more efficiently and safer.
Okay.
So that doesn't include all the other Safe Street grants.
It doesn't imply any blanket.
I think that could be an funds are so strictly regulated that one doesn't spend funds anyways.
Okay. All right.
Okay, fair enough. So we have a motion and support. We need to roll call this. We'll do that. Please.
Horn.
Mhm.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yeah.
Lehman.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Ron. Okay. Mr. Smits, you're up next.
Evening, and thank you for the opportunity to have an appointment with you tonight. First, again, thank you for your service to our community. I have under doctor's treatment for sudden hearing loss, so if I'm not talking loud enough, you're gonna have to tell me. And if I don't hear you, it's not because I'm not listening. I'm listening very intensely.
That way you tell your wife.
What's that?
She knew it.
So, the memorandum in the agenda packet, is pretty concise, and really I have two asks. One is that, the road commission board recognize the value of the services provided to both the Old Mission Drainage District and to the road commission in service to preservation of this roadway. During the storm events that we were all running around the county feverishly, maybe still are in some cases. And second is that without regard to how you consider that first request, the second request is that you consider, as you did in 2015 with the Cass Road drain, petitioning this office to extend and deepen the drain as you did at Cass Road. For the services that extension, deepening and widening provides. In the case of Cass Road drain, the spreadsheet that you've got is a good summary of the value that petition presented. The petition actually is in the board packet. It's this last document that was in the board packet. It's a very simple petition. But what it garnered you in this case is a box culvert underneath Cass Road and fresh HMA over the earthwork area. The cost of the road commission of about $67,000. And I guarantee you the box culvert materials themselves will do that. There's value in collaborating with the road commission. This exhibit that I printed out for your consideration tonight is from the presentation I made to the same board about 3 years ago, just as an outreach effort. I think it's a great example of where our interlocking jurisdictions in some cases with drains and roadways presents an opportunity for you to use the drain code as one tool in your toolbox to affect your mission. So the ask is pretty concise at the bottom of the memorandum that at or before your next regular meeting, resolve to petition for an extension of this drain. I'm not asking you to do that tonight, but if you'd like to, I would welcome that. And I can take whatever motion or resolution you offer tonight, draft the petition in the same form and manner as you see in your agenda package for the Cass Road drain and bring it back to you in time for your next meeting. There is another document if you care to consider it next month instead. I can prepare a resolution at that time and a petition, so you can have in advance of your meeting, the actual verbiage to look at and ponder and redline. But there's two asks tonight. One, that we split those costs. I know you didn't get advance notice of the expenditure. I had, we were all operating under emergency conditions at the time. And as you'll see from a very quick slideshow presentation, this is the drainage district. This is the root cause of the problem. The red arrow that you see is the existing drain. A county drain consists of the drainage district, the area that is serviced by the drain, and the drain itself, which is a combination typically of open and closed conduits that convey the runoff from the drainage district. In 2019, the drainage district for Old Mission Drain was radically expanded. There was only about 12 different property owners in the initial drain from 1985. And there's currently, I believe, 79 in a larger drain district that'll be shown in the subsequent slide. But what I'm proposing, I'm sorry, just one last second on the prior. Thank you. What I'm proposing in the magenta dash is an extension. You can see the extension is going to be at least doubling the size of the infrastructure. It's proposed to extend or remain within the right of way until it departs westerly to meet the outfall of Prescott Lake. There is a distinct point of departure when the runoff waters leave Prescott Lake, and we can tile it, we can convey it, we can shape the earth, we can make sure that it does not have a choice in which way it gets to Lake Michigan in the future.
The lake rose when we had the water events. The lake rose and covered our roads and a lot of properties out there, if I'm not mistaken, right? Yeah. What are we looking at? Bottom line cost and on our part?
To be determined. As with the Cass Road drain, we actually have to take bids. We have to design a project, take bids.
Rough engineer's estimate.
I didn't make one for this meeting, but it's simple earthwork. There's probably going to be some paving involved. As you'll see in the presentation, there is a diagonal culvert. Actually, it's in your board packet. The original drain, as you can see on here, shows this diagonal culvert right here. It's a road commission asset.
Yeah.
And it's way undersized, and it's more or less horizontal, and it's clay tile. It's probably as old, almost as old as the settlement itself. Some of the people that live there might have seen it gone in. I found out.
Yeah.
That was.
I saw the area that was underwater. It's hard.
Like, it's really old. I bet they've seen it.
Something that high was that under.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now it was flat. So in the area that you see closer to Passeride Bay there's a few lots that are well described or very consolidated in a platted subdivision of land, and that's more or less the expression of the original district. And most of those lots are undeveloped. A lot of them are one residence on 2 or 3 different lots within that subdivision. So the expansion was considerable. It encompasses the entire watershed. And so there are more payers now within an assessment role of about 12 to 79. Thank you.
All right. I mean, I would be positive going forward with our participation in this. I mean, we have to protect our assets as well as make it possible for those people to get in and out without the new signs and whatnot as they have.
I'm very aware this is a long-standing problem.
Yeah.
I'm very aware this is a long-standing problem. So I'm like Jason here. We need to fix this, but if 79 property owners then would be in the drainage district.
That's the current.
Okay.
That's the largest extent of drainage district.
And so far, they're okay with it, because we don't know what the cost is.
Well, so far, I think the average assessment, and I might be correct in this meeting, but the average assessment after the creation of the larger district is somewhere less than $500 per assessed property. Now that is what funded the maintenance fund, which has since been drained by the emergency event.
So,
So a properly constituted drain fund addresses not only the capital, but at least 5 years of nominal maintenance on that capital once installed.
so do we need like two motions? Are you done with your presentation? Andy, you've got further to go with this?
Just a couple if we.
Okay, go ahead.
Again, this is about, this is before we started pumping.
Yeah, we can't handle that at all.
I think Commissioner Gilman's referring to that lake that's on your left side, the west side of the road. The lake is in the background, through those trees is where Prescott Lake lies. And then further east is where the drain is. And that's what you're looking at right now. Drive culverts are probably undersized as well. There's no record that, in 1985 that they were, engineered for this flow. And again, this is an unusual flow. This is not the first time. By any stretch. It's chronic. Next slide, please. This is the reaction. Was up there on Sunday night, seeing the problem. Made some phone calls on Monday, the 13th, and by the 14th, we had three 300 GPM pumps deployed to basically springboard over these driveway culverts and keep the water flowing in the drain itself. When it was realized, next slide, you can see the water level that stick has got 2-inch scribe marks on it in the drain. So over the course of one night of pumping, we're able to lower the water levels by almost 2 feet in the drain. And again, that's about 1,000 gallons a minute, 24/7 for about 3 days. Next slide, please. The evidence that the water did come from the lake. There's a perch about 1,500 feet downstream.
No way.
Right? That's right across the street from where the erosion was in the north right of way of Sweeney Road. Again, on the right of the pumps. This is I believe on the 15th when we deployed the 8-inch pump. On the 15th, there was more rain being called for. 1,000 gallons a minute wasn't keeping up with it. We deployed an 8-inch pump and 3 more 3-inch pumps for the last day of the response activities. Next slide. Again, that's it. Proposing that we provide conveyance of adequate size for these types of events. Replace that 180-foot diagonal 8-inch clay tile pipe and get this engineered correct.
We need two motions, one to pay the bill and one to agree to go forward. What would we like to do with it?
Well, I would think we would agree to go forward and then you would come back with costs, right? And then we would agree to pay it?
No, that's a great question.
Oh, you're talking about the invoice.
Yeah. He's asking for half and
Oh, you're talking about half for these invoices. Okay, so, but you want half from the fix of the drain too, right?
No, I don't want to have.
It'll be-
I want.
it's gonna be minor.
Those are great questions, because what I didn't share with you in the memo or yet in the presentation is the administrative process of expanding a drain. You may not have, you remember the Cass Road drain path.
I remember.
Yeah, I wasn't all in on that, but I remember it.
Okay, so the process involves public hearings.
Right.
It involves first engineering a project.
Yeah.
Getting it bid, taking the cost then and spreading it in an allocation process, a public transparent process over the assessment roll.
Mhm.
It starts off by at-large assessments to municipalities. As that example shows, you can see the different at-large assessments were first made to various jurisdictions, including the county, the road commission, state MDOT, because they benefited from that project as well with the new railroad culvert. And then once those costs are spread to at-large assessments, after the public hearing, after the allocation costs, after the costs are published, the engineering plans are out there and bid. Then these costs are spread in this manner, and the remainder, after at-large and special benefit assessments are made, the residual cost is then spread over the roll, which are the
Right.
beneficiaries within the district. So that's the process. There will be public hearings. There will be opportunities to talk about design options. And again, that's the way it should be. It's a public process. They're tax dollars.
Well, we know even some of our culvert projects on not super high traveled roads have been expensive.
Yeah.
Even without the district. So we are aware that culverts cost money, and when they don't work right, when the water doesn't go in the right place, it damages our roads.
So the one added benefit I want to bring up that we don't talk about too much is that you're all well aware, and I am too, but I don't think the public is terribly well aware that the road commission's jurisdiction is within the right of way. They can't normally affect much of protection of their assets outside of that right of way. Well, the drain code allows you to do that. You can go 1,500 feet outside your right of way and work with a drain commissioner in a drainage district and shape the earth or shape the effect from that's imparting on your right of way. And this is a great example of it.
Yeah.
This could convey waters that have ended up in your right of way and damaging your roads. You have the ability to go outside your right of way with a decision like this and redirect those waters.
I think it's just a voice vote on motioning for the petition to be created. You said you would mimic the language of the Cass Road drain and create a
Absolutely.
petition that would then come back to
I'll
the board.
change Cass Road to Sweeney Road.
There we go. Okay, so we just need a motion for a petition to be drafted for, what are we going to call this? The Old Mission Drain District?
It would be expansion and enlargement of Old Mission Drain.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
And I'll second it.
Is there further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now to pay the bill.
Now we got.
I'm trying to figure out how to word it.
Well, the bill's been
Yeah.
paid.
Well, no, but I mean, so we received a benefit and that's,
Mhm.
you know, I don't see a problem with that.
Right.
Is it considered? Well, first of all, can I ask a question?
You can have your own.
Bill, we
Bill.
got money to pay for this. It's kind of like an emergency payment almost because we're covering the cost of something that happened during the water event, correct?
It's
What we
nominal.
What's the proper fault? What's the proper? Are we reimbursing? Are we, how, I'm trying to figure out how to make the motions, what I'm trying to do.
If you would like me to, or do you like to?
Because you drain commission incurred the expenditure, so we would be reimbursing a portion of.
Okay.
that expenditure.
Actually, if he sends us a bill, we could just have direct the manager to pay it too, because it's under his spending authority.
Right.
We need to do
Okay.
nothing but that, if you guys are comfortable with
Yeah.
it.
I'm comfortable with that.
Jason,
It's free at the end.
that's what we're doing.
Okay. Do you have any questions of me?
What's the timeline on, you getting back to us with the drain district? Is this 60 days, 160 days? What do you think?
90 days probably. I've got, again, you might have been aware that, collaboratively, the Drain Commission, city and others participated in a request for qualification process for engineers. So there are two engineering firms on staff that are statewide firms. They're starting work right now on drains, and it's just an easy matter. Now that I know that you want us to move forward with this, get them lined up when they're up here working on a city drain to come up and visit, recon, and come back to the proposal and get this started. So again, I think it's fairly simple. The thing that's long-term is getting the easements. I'll need to send you documents to release your right of way for drain improvements. and they'll need to get a private property owner, to either sell or provide an exclusive drainage easement. And that's something that's got to be negotiated. I can't tell you how long that'll take. I can tell you that I can make a deal, do the best I can.
Something that could happen. You may come back to us at the end of the summer here.
I hope so, because that's my target for, again, and just normal practice. I want to finish up all this work by the end of the fiscal year, which is deer season, right? And then I'm bidding out work, getting stuff ready for bid, last 60 days of the year, and then getting stuff let in January.
So this, if there are costs associated with this, it would be on the road commission's cost would be likely be next year. It's something we could budget for in the fall. And our costs would be
We
incurred
would
next
get
year.
billed the at-large assessment. We wouldn't get billed the at-large assessment from the drainage district, correct?
Once there are qualified bids and a selection.
So we would be
That's the
obligated to
process.
pay. We have a separate activity.
You know,
that we would pay.
if you'd like that resolution and you'd like the petition drafted, I will bring a timeline with me at the next meeting as well, so that you can see the benchmarks and the goals and the trigger dates for the project.
So, Mr. Chairman, our next regular meeting, you're gonna have the documents that we need to do to move it all forward
Yes,
legally.
yes,
Just so the public knows too. So
absolutely.
in 30 days, we're gonna bring a proposal, we can vote on it.
If I don't, I think this, not before I get to the door.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Sandy. All right. Next item on the agenda is the consent calendar.
The consent calendar is used to expedite business by grouping non-controversial items together without discussion. Request by any person present to remove an item from the consent calendar for full discussion as an agenda item are automatically respected. The action noted in parentheses, all items remaining on the consent calendar are approved by a single commission action adopting the consent calendar. The manager recommends the following items be adopted: minutes, payroll, accounts payable, financial reports, and communications.
Are there any member of the board who would like anything removed from the consent calendar? Any member of the public that would like anything from the calendar? All right.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar as provided.
Or fair. You want to support that? Want me to? I think I don't do that. Right?
You can do that.
I'll support
You
that.
absolutely
I'll do it
do
one.
that.
I'll support that. Okay. And we probably have to have a roll call vote on this.
Underwood,
Yes.
Gilman,
Yes.
Horn,
Mhm.
Lehman,
Yes.
motion carried.
Right. Grand Bay promotions.
Good evening, and thank you for including us on your agenda this evening. We're here to offer a return on investment of our recent partnership with Grand Traverse County and Grand Bay Promotions. We've established ourselves together now for over 2 years. Community education through outreach and transparency has been the theme of our partnership. Highlights of our partnership with the Grand Traverse County Road Commission this recent year, June 1 through this end of this month, when our contract is up. We believe in coordinating, executing media and communications both proactively and in emergency situations, which is cause for our recap these recent few months between the blizzard and the flooding. Overall communication through education, which means we deliver to TV, digital, print, and social media, in addition to radio. We believe sharing transparent and intriguing public service messages are key to our partnership, which ultimately results in saving staff hours and resources. A few of our highlights that we're particularly proud of, and a big shout out and thank you to Dan and your team here at the Road Commission for being so available to produce some of these secured news segments. We secured 62 TV news segments regionally. That's about a little over 5 per month. We responded recently to 8 national news requests on networks such as Fox Weather, Spectrum News, ABC TV, in addition to others. And you'll see a couple of the highlights here that call out not just in the flood situation, but prior in all of the road closures and projects. TV continued. We secured 41 print and digital stories across local and regional media platforms, reaching an audience beyond the traditional sense of TV and radio. Examples here, the Ticker and Record Eagle, pretty evenly in regards to coverage. We secured 76 radio mentions, appearances, including interviews, news, and PSA campaigns with Midwestern Broadcasting, our family of 5 stations, followed by McDonald Garber Broadcasting and Black Diamond Broadcasting and NPR. Something that we're particularly aware and again, giving thanks to you all for being so available. Emergency media communication response was key in our recent months. During the recent flooding in Grand Traverse County, Grand Bay Promotions managed communications around the clock with Dan and Elisa's help. From heading and handling local, regional, and national media requests to coordinating live shots, early morning, public service announcements, county press conferences, and proactive flood-related messaging. Grand Bay Promotions worked in partnership with your staff to ensure accurate and timely information was delivered to the public and continues in the aftermath, allowing, again, our roads, staff, and team to focus on the real emergency at hand. Here's just a few examples from MLive, which is Michigan's largest statewide news network, a sample from TV 9 and 10, and Record Eagle in the recent 2 weeks. And with that, I'd like to bring up Charlie to share some of the social video metrics.
Sure. Thank you for that. Yeah, so I'm just going to talk through some of our work that we've done on the social media side of things. It has been a point of emphasis 2.5 years ago since we've joined Dan to really highlight what's going on a weekly basis through a little different medium than the traditional PR side that Susan just walked through. So adding to traditional media, we created 35 educational videos for the Road Commission's social media channels, helping to educate community members as well as answer questions and concerns directly that the public may have. Next slide. I'm going to talk to just about some of these social analytics numbers. So these are numbers for the past 12 months. So this runs from this time in 2025 to about 5 days ago when we put this report together. So pretty mind-blowing numbers if we actually look at some of this. We had 1.7 plus million views on all of our videos combined. That's pretty staggering. 531 days of watch time, 57,000 plus reactions, roughly 7,000 plus comments, and almost 10,000 shares on all of the content that we produced, edited, posted, and got out on Road Commission sites. You'll also see that by followers versus non-followers, 58% of all of the views that we're getting and generating are non-followers of our page. So that's just telling you the algorithm that is spitting those numbers out or giving those videos to folks in our community that aren't directly interested in what's going on with the Road Commission on a day-to-day level, right? And that's very important. And then again, 2 years ago when Dan, Susan, and I sat down and talked about this, we really wanted to focus on the video component of things. So not just a static post with text or copy or even a picture. We really wanted to focus on the video side of things. So you'll see on that right-hand side how people find your content. Most people, 65%, I believe if I'm looking at that correctly, are accessing our content through Reels, which is video content. Next slide, please. Just some a collection of responses from our work on the social media platforms. I love that you are doing these updates. Great work, Road Commission and team members, and fantastic communication. Thank you for your work on this and your efforts to publicly communicate these updates. It is all very appreciative. Those are just a couple, but I think we've been pretty happy to see the response from the public, especially the last couple of months with all of the work that's gone on. Next one. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Susan.
Okay. So the future is bright for Grand Traverse County Road Commission. We couldn't be more proud of what your team is doing. In our proposed 12-month contract agreement, we will continue to focus on the following key initiatives. Continue to develop topical calendars with Dan, Alyssa, and Joe each and every month, coming up with timely messaging distributed to regional media outlets. We will continue to coordinate media interviews and coverage opportunities, including dedicated follow-up with all participating outlets. Continue coordinating and producing educational videos for distribution across all of the Grand Traverse County Roads social platforms, channels, including Facebook and YouTube. We expect to maintain proactive outreach efforts to secure both traditional and non-traditional public education opportunities. We will also continue to leverage cooperative initiatives with partner agencies and community organizations as opportunities arise. We continue and are committed to coordinate and manage media communications during the following emergency events like we're experiencing now. Next slide. As we assist in future Grand Traverse County Road Commission projects, the continued flood cleanup, rebuilding affected areas are a key ingredient. Will assist with public communications regarding updates, important public notices, and increased traffic in certain areas as the Road Commission continues to rebuild areas damaged by the floods. Additionally, we will provide transparent messaging and share expected project timelines with the public. And a few of these examples, just this last 2 weeks, Dan and the communications committee has been really a key ingredient for us to get out public service messages on a day-by-day basis. Dan already has an appointment tomorrow morning after this meeting with the Record Eagle at 9 a.m. So I really just want to go on record by saying Dan's been so available without taking, hopefully, the calls day to day. Your receptionist is really a key ingredient as well. They have been funneling and telling folks to please contact Charlie or myself so we can execute proper timing, get it to Dan efficiently, and those initiatives are what we believe we're saving staff time and headache, but delivering exactly what needs to be said to the community. And with that, thank you to everybody. The partnership between Grand Traverse County Road Commission and Grand Bay has strengthened community connection, education through media coverage, social content creation, relationship building, and increased public awareness, which was our standing mission 2 years ago when we were approached to work with you all. We believe the partnership has positioned the Road Commission as a trusted and transparent organization within the community. Additionally, we continue to save the staff viable time and hours, allowing them and all of you to focus on the real ingredient keeping the roads safe. And I'd be happy and welcome any comments and questions that we can answer.
Well, I have something to share. Yeah, I'll go first. The first thing I want to do is something I wish I didn't have to do, which is defend this. It's almost embarrassing to have to defend this because we took an oath of office to represent people. And if they don't know what's going on in their government, then problems happen. We aren't here promoting a product. We're not selling a new type of cereal or trying to sell a car. We are literally transmitting information to the people that pay us to be here. So to me, communications is a non-starter. It is a mandatory requirement of people that serve in public office. But when we started on this journey, we were one of the worst communicating agencies ever. I served in multiple public offices. I was a county commissioner. I know how bad the Road Commission communicated. And with the change in the leadership at the Road Commission and bringing this on, it made a big difference for us. But what I didn't know was we were going to do such a good job that we became a statewide model for how to talk to constituents on road commissions. So I want to play you something today that was sent to me. because I think it speaks volumes. I could talk on and on about the job that Dan's done and the job that Susan and Charlie have done. And if you don't realize it or recognize it at this point, I'm not sure what I can say. But people across the state that work for road commissions and are on road commission boards like we are now looking to Grand Traverse County as a model of how to effectively communicate how the taxpayer dollars are being spent. So I'm going to play this message that was sent to Dan today.
And I particularly not just myself, other here, person and the managing director with the Kaufman County Road Department, and I'm also on the county engineers workshop plan. We have the president of the Florida County Engineers Workshop in February about the public, and I particularly not just myself, others that may not have noticed that you guys have a really excellent social media presence, and we were hoping that you would be interested in presenting the county engineers workshop in the Sioux in February.
Now, the bad news is it's in the Sioux in February.
That's the good news. That's the I-500.
I was thinking Cancun or something, but the good news is we didn't put any effort into patting ourselves on the back. It was just recognized. And I'll tell you how it was recognized. It's recognized by people that come up to me all the time. And a lot of them don't like me. So that's how you know it's legitimate. Just to tell me how much they appreciate the messaging coming out of the road commission. There's a lot of examples, but I think the best example was the unexpected collapse of Garfield Road that happened about a week ago. We had plans of these videos we were going to do. We were kind of planning on the Beitner and Brown Bridge because those are the two most constituent affected storm related things that are left. And in the middle of us planning something, Dan sent something to our group communications text. And I think mine was in all caps, like, WTF is that? Kind of like, it was a road collapsing. And I thought it was just like funny, like GIF. It wasn't a GIF, it was Garfield. And it was from Dan, who somehow has a video of it collapsing, which kind of surprised me because I honestly didn't know what it was at first. Because it looks AI almost, and I guess you have to question that all the time. But the point is, within minutes, we pivoted. Joe, myself, Charlie, and Susan, and Dan, and immediately, Dan created what I believe is one of the best videos I've ever seen on social media. And I have had so many calls about this. As a matter of fact, Chris Barshev called me today to ask me, how does somebody set you up on your takes? And I said, no, Dan's that good. And that would be the video that you actually, the screenshot of there, where Dan is squatted down showing the failure of the road. I cannot tell you the number of people that messaged me about that. Like, this was brilliant. Now we understand this is why we can't go here. And then when that road was fixed in less than 24 hours, paved over completely fine and opened back up, there isn't a better way to acknowledge our staff and what they do than let the people that pay for their work know how quickly and efficiently they got it done. And I have never, in the history of my experience with social media, which goes back a long time in politics, I have never seen anything like the responses to the Garfield Road closing and opening. And it's not about these accolades. Again, we're not trying to sell something to people. They've already bought it when they made their tax bill payment, and they deserve to know how it's being spent. So it's invaluable to us. We have talked in the past about having a communications or grant writing person on staff. I think we should. I don't know how else to show how important it is, and not to mention the fact that other agencies the same size and smaller than us have communications people on board as well. As you guys know, sometimes a contractor like you guys are, and sometimes a staff member like the county and the city and all of them have. And at that point, I think we do need to talk about that when we recognize how valuable our communications have been and how Dan and his staff are not professional communications people. And they shouldn't be. They're supposed to be professional roads people. So I think we should have that discussion for future budget years, but we are not set up for that now. So I absolutely think there's no question the value of it. And there's no question that Dan and his crew can't immediately flip over to having full-time communication staff member when this contract is up at the end of the month. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Thank you. I get to see what they do behind the scenes. I know that not everybody does. It's really hard to pull together all the press stuff. And the press stuff, again, isn't a kudos. It isn't a pat on the back. It's your road is closed. Here's why and when you can expect it to be open. And the amount of people that appreciate that, I think, really shows So I'm all for it, but the fact that Dan's being recognized as a model of how to effectively communicate is a testament to you guys, to Dan. Well done. Well done.
I just got a couple comments. I know that the contract is coming up again for renewal. I will highly encourage that we do this. Why? It does save us time. Dan can shoot the video like he did in Garfield, fires it off to us, and then these folks get it out. That's all Dan has to do. Just, what was it? 45, maybe a minute.
You have a full staff that's.
Whatever it was. And you would have to think about it. So for less than one FTE, well, half of one FTE, we're able to do all this work. And I think it's phenomenal. I also, one of the reasons we want to discuss it tonight, whether we act upon it or not is a whole different thing. Is my theory is with the upcoming South Airport discussion, it would be good to have these folks in place through next year so the information get out there. When you have your public meetings, they can help us make sure that that happens. When we want to get the information out after meetings, they can make sure we can have that happen. And for, again, less than a half of an FTE, we have the ability to continue. But quite honestly, it's a transformation in the way we get as a transformation. Communicate with the public. And I too get the accolades like this is the first time I've ever really understood what you guys do, why you do it. And I know there's a concern when we spend money this way, but for the 50 grand or whatever it is that we pay for this for the year, 48, I really do think it's an invaluable.
GPS signal lost.
Well, you made a wrong turn.
So, any thoughts back? I mean, I just was curious.
I just, as always, I pretty much have a hard line on this kind of thing. I look at it this way: every dollar that we spend on this type of endeavor is a dollar that doesn't belong to it. I don't see the cost benefit in the same way that you all do.
I think it's transparency. That's it. I think we owe it to the people that pay for us.
I think we can be transparent without outside consultant. I do appreciate the work of the committee, especially since I believe in that system, and I wish we even used it more. It was Commissioner Gilman who got us to use that actually. And we haven't changed much, which I think would be valuable over time. When some people are left next year, people switch up on the committees. I think that might be helpful. I wish Commissioner Chasm was here to vote with us.
Well, I don't think we're going to vote tonight.
I was gonna ask, I'd love to hear what he has to say too, before we vote on it.
Yeah, we're just gathering.
And I being the negative Nelly of the group, I voted even for it the last couple of times because I respected your work, and I do think we communicate better. The things I don't like, Susan, are it's quite a bit of money. It might be a modest investment, but it is quite a bit of money to me. And the fact that we don't get any bids for it, we've used you, and the communications committee is happy, but all our other projects we bid out, and we haven't bid this out. I think we should, as long as Commissioner, the five of us are here, I think we should vote on it next month. And I don't know what to say about it, but I do think that I would prefer if we bid it out. I would prefer that we adjust the contract to an annual basis also that goes as our fiscal year ends, it ends with everything else. That maybe if we vote on it next month, it would be something. I know you like the year and you've told us that, but I would be more likely to think that it should expire at the end of the year like our other stuff does. Those are my comments on it. So we've discussed it. If there's nothing further, we'll say thank you and we'll move on to the next thing. Is that okay with the board members?
Yes, and thank you. And I do appreciate everybody's comments. And we're here to support as team members by all means.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Charlie, you also.
Thanks.
Okay, managers report and comments and our staff report that we prepared.
Mayor's comments. First one I have on there is that, Brook Street update on that. That's at 633 there. I know we looked at it last time, turning that over to that small alley there. It turns out that it actually is platted, so it became quite complicated. Oh, that's actually a platted parcel. Probably gonna have to go to like a public hearing and.
We can sell it to him. That my initial thoughts where he can
So-
pay for it if he's going to use it.
Yeah, wanted to give everybody an update that we thought that would probably been taken care of by now. It's gonna turn into a little bit of an ordeal, so.
And you're working your way through this.
Yeah, we've got the, legal, we're gonna way through it right now. I'll give that update. The next one was the Dog Bone Roundabout out there, Long Lake. We put in for that congressional, direct spending. We put in for it a few times in different ways, safety funds, trying to do it. We did not get awarded the funds, going this way as well. So we tried another way and unfortunately, we got turned down again.
Was that the one where was it Joe that had some ideas or thoughts on it?
We did have Wade Trim prepare this one for us. Submit it for us. So, and I think Commissioner Lehman said, you're buying a lot of ticket.
Oh, for sure. Are there any other tickets we can buy?
I'm not aware of it right now, but they come out randomly. I'm sure towards the end of the year, we'll see some more.
Eventually we'll get it. And we are at least prepared. We're in a good place and we're prepared for it with property that we have at both.
This is the Moomers.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to call it the Moomers or I'm not gonna know.
And a couple of years ago, we bought that house across from East.
Yeah.
And, I still think that was a good investment there for our future plans. So.
Well, a lot of times projects, unexpectedly, you get the funding for them and then you don't have the land acquisition offset. So yeah, I mean, I think that that's good and proactive.
We should put that on the list.
But I would hope to,
Can we sell that house? Or is it not worth?
We've talked about, we should put that out to bid or not, or what to do.
If somebody wants to pay a nominal amount and then haul it away, I mean,
Yeah.
there is.
It's pretty small.
It is small. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Get it removed.
I mean, we did it before.
Yeah.
So.
Way more than we thought on that. Do you remember
We
that?
did okay.
Yeah, we did okay.
Notes there. Other thing, wanted to give an update on the Act 1 classifications. This is where we put in those primary road changes. We did receive an email saying, that they're gonna approve all those. They don't see any issues with them. I think they were all, needed and reasonable. We don't have the final paperwork. They'll come through probably sometime in the next month.
Talking you, the bracket and.
Yeah, they did accept all of them, so that was great news. And hopefully we'll see something official soon. If they did give us an initial email, just to let us know if they accept it. Sweet, thought that was great news. Couple other updates, a lot going on in the county right now. Obviously, we're starting to haul in winter sand. They were starting to work on Feitner, pulling stuff out of there. Brown Bridge is going really well. Down there today, crews are working on that. It's going better than expected, so we're very excited about that project. The lake at 31 Hartman got turned on today. That was great. There was a lot of work behind the scenes to make that happen. So it took a long time to engineer that, pulling all the permits, working with MDOT. You know, it's kind of, when you see it go up, it's like, well, it didn't take very long. It took a long time to get to that point. But I think that's great that like got turned on today. We have brining happening right now. So all the gravel roads in the county are getting brined. Hopefully they're gonna have those done by the end of the week. That's tomorrow. I don't think the last of the roads. Chip sealers, you got chip sealers in here right now. We have long line painters going right now. Wedging contract is completed for the year so far. So a lot going on this week. I can agree with that.
Anything else?
Nope.
it's an awful lot. I didn't comprehend how much the road commission did until first I was on the board. But more as I got involved in communications, like Charlie and Susan, like how much did we talk today? With Dan just getting things set up for the light, like they were able to get it out right away. But I never realized how much went into it, especially this light construction. I always just thought you bought a traffic light and you put it up. Like I had no idea, no idea. And Yeah, I've learned a lot. It is very impressive. I think his manner is very calm. But I don't think it really truly shows how much work they've done, and well, they do it all the time, but I mean, in the last like 3 or 4 weeks, it's kind of been crazy. So that's a.
Are you starting your commissioner comments with us?
No, I think
Because it's
Dan
time
is,
for that.
I
It's
think
time for
Dan
that.
is
Go ahead.
being far too mild mannered on his manager's report. His manager's report should have been very gung ho because the amount of work they did was crazy. And in the middle of everything from a blizzard to a flood, then the road collapses, one of our most major arteries. I'm sorry, like it was almost like, yeah, I didn't really believe him when I really thought it was a gift, the video. I didn't think it was.
My son downstate was the one that let me know. He says, yes, one of my friends was talking about Garfield just collapsed. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
No, it was like,
All in a couple of minutes, it just boom, 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 it got
But-
across the state.
but the message that's getting out there, I mean, you guys have done a good job with that. We're trying to share the real message. So the real message is, what is his name? The employee that saved the day that day.
Jack, yes,
Yeah.
kudos to Jack.
So
He did a
Jack-
Great job.
Yes. Jack was driving on the road and thought something felt a little bit off. That was it. Jack just happened to be paying attention when he was driving and thought something felt a little bit off.
Jeez,
And he
worst could have happened. He's
and then
driving
he-
one of the big trucks.
Yeah,
don't know.
then he
Oh
kind
my
of parked
God.
the truck on the one side so you couldn't go over.
I can't even.
Yeah. And how many minutes before the road was closed from when Jack?
I looked through it and I want to say by the time that he called me and I got down there, we had the road fully closed. It was under 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's a nightmare.
It could have been someone's family going on there. I mean, it's scary and also so fortunate that Jack paid attention. So Jack deserves a big thank you. So Dan immediately responded, close the road. We immediately got it on social media. Like, I can't tell you how quick Charlie and Susan were with them too. And within minutes, everything,
In the time we called central dispatch, we had it out to all of our first responders, all that happened in under 10 minutes.
and I want you to know that I had just gotten off the phone with him because we were talking about getting the Beitner and Brown Bridge stuff out so that people knew how it would impact, what was going on. And immediately it was like, oh, our road just collapsed. Like, and it was all because Jack happened to think something felt a little bit off and pulled over to the side of the road.
And again, this was a water event that had nothing to do with the road commission's work. We're totally subject
Mhm.
to circumstances around us.
The hole in the pipe was about like this big, maybe. Yeah, it wasn't even the size of, a man's hand, probably my hand, but the hole was that small and it took that out
It does.
that quickly. And so that is something, since Dan didn't mention, I wanted to mention, that was pretty amazing. At the very end of the meeting, we don't normally have commissioner comment anymore. I just had some stuff I wanted to bring in.
No, this is Commissioner, we're at F right now, Commissioner.
No, I was talking about at the end of the meeting.
Oh.
There's something there's something I'd like to bring up at the end of the meeting. I'm not gonna waste everybody's time that's sitting in the audience, but something from my commissioner point of view that I want to bring up. But yeah, I really wanted to shout out Jack, obviously,
Yeah.
Dan. Like, the story is crazy. Like, if you saw a text thread, you'd be like, what the hell is going on, in Grand River County? And I want you to know that all these guys ran there and did that. And also shout out to Elmer's because what an amazing job. And they were in the middle of getting two of our largest road collapse projects going that day. So yeah, it was a big deal. That was a big deal. You should have more enthusiasm. I said to Dan, I hope you can just like have a barbecue on Memorial Weekend and relax. And but anyways, that's it. I just wanted to make sure that you guys knew how we get those out and work with Central Dispatch and Communications. So there you go.
Would you prefer that we move?
I don't have any really comments. We met a couple weeks ago and I'm fine.
To the end, you mean?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I mean, I've got plenty, but I just.
We can move it to the, We'll skip it. I have a couple things to add, and it's not critical. Underbody
Ties together with one of our
and wing cutting edge blades.
So we put our winter blades out this year for bid. We did have 4 bidders respond.
The overall low bidder was Truck and Trailer, so TAB is recommending purchase of its blades from Truck and Trailer. One thing to know, prices were up about 300% this year. And we were not expecting to see this larger numbers on blades. A lot of the blades are made out of carbide, and so the carbide prices in metal is all over the place. So we had to do a really short bid period. And when I do this bid earlier, we have results back in it. I have it in the board packet. Talking to vendors, they would not hold their prices more than 2 to 3 days. So if we approve this tonight, we have to call first thing tomorrow morning and order, because by Monday, the price will be totally different.
Okay. A motion to buy the bids from somebody.
I'll make a motion that
To buy the blades.
truck and trailer, correct?
Truck and Trailer, yes.
That we that we buy our underbody and wing cutting blades from Truck and Trailer for $201,757.50.
I'll support.
Motion made in second. Any further discussion on the underbody blades? All right, Phil, would you call the roll, please?
Feldman.
Yeah.
Corn.
Yep.
Underwood.
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes. Okay, how about City Works? Larry?
Larry. It's just our renewal time for CityWorks, and what we're doing is we're moving to the cloud. So there's a little bit of price increase. So right now we're paying about 45,000. And this 1 year, well, we have a 3-year bid or a quote. So the first year would be like 55,000. So it's almost like 10 grand more. But we will be saving ourselves. This is the program that we use for organizing ourselves, taking in service requests from phone calls, goes directly to our foreman, then goes out to our site leads, and then we do the work and close out the work. So kept us very organized during the storms, very organized for FEMA. We worked with them all week this week, and there was no other way to get them the information that they needed. So it's a very important program, integral to our daily organization. So the first year is at 55,686.25. That's the first year. It will go up probably 5% every year for a 3-year contract. Now, we don't have to do a 3-year contract. I said, can we just do a 1? And so there is an option to go with a 1-year contract. But we are upgrading our Esri environment, which is coupled with CityWorks. So that is one of those things that we have to upgrade this, to upgrade that thing. So we do have an implementation services that is at 24,900, and that's a one-time fee. And then we put a little bit of 20 hours in there for like training and for helping us get into the new cloud-based program. We're very comfortable with the interface right now, because we're actually using an interface that looks very, very similar to the cloud. The only thing is the cloud, we will not be dependent on our servers in the basement. So that part is very nice, because we will have to maintain and take care of those servers in the basement. So just recommending that we go into I'm going to recommend a 1-year contract with CityWorks maintained, and then the implementation costs, and then also the 20 hours of service from the installation.
Now, why would you recommend a 1-year versus a 3-year?
I feel I want to get a feel for it. I want to make sure that the cloud's going to do what we want it to do.
Got it.
There's a few interfaces, like the mobile application is a little different, but it's supposed to be improved. Right now, they kind of work offline. It's a little clunky. It's a little slow. This is going to be directly to the cloud, so the speed is going to increase quite a bit. So that.
Not the technology guy, so I'm
asked a question. The cloud's gonna be more secure than our own servers.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think
My
that-
agency switched over to all of that. It wasn't the most fun switch over, I'll be honest. But recently we had an issue with some hacking and some other stuff that had happened, and we were so lucky we had implemented everything into this cloud-based service. We are able to go anywhere, literally anywhere in the world, and I can access that. And it's a big deal. Can we do this in one motion with the 3 different items? I'm thinking we can. I can't think of a reason why we wouldn't be able to. So I'm going to make a motion to approve a 1-year contract with CityWorks maintenance agreement, a one-time implementation service of $24,900, and a time and materials assistance rate of $225 an hour, estimated at 20 hours, with a total of $4,500 for additional support as needed.
Is there support for that motion? Yeah, support that. Okay, motion made and seconded. Is there any further discussion? All right, let's have a roll call, please, Phil.
Corn,
Yes.
Underwood.
Yes.
Gilman.
Yes.
Lehman.
Yes. Thank you. Engineering reimbursement?
Sure, this is just our yearly, it's $10,000 that we receive because we have the engineer of record for the road.
$10,000.
I'll make the motion. Well, I mean, you don't even.
Is that how much the state
Do we
makes an
even-
engineer
we don't even-
worth for the year, Joe?
Yeah.
Okay, we have to make the motion.
Not
here.
crazy.
Yeah.
The director manager and the chair and the members of the clerk to sign the engineering reimbursement form.
I'll second that. I think it's been the same amount.
It's the same. It's been the
Yeah.
last- it's been the same the last 8 years.
And we don't have to roll call this.
No.
All in favor? Budget amendment.
Yeah, so I was hoping to have something for you guys to approve at this meeting, but there's still a lot of information I'm trying to gather. And it's quite a bit of a process to go through it each time, so I was gonna hopefully once we get some more of the bid information in, and once we get the final millage calculations from the county that we put towards millage projects, I can incorporate it into just one big budget amendment for the
Do
year.
we have a bid June meeting? Do we have mid June?
Oh, the extra one or whatever.
Yeah.
We're within budget now from
Okay.
the adopted budget,
So we're okay, right?
We're okay.
Okay.
And I think we still have some pretty big projects that we're gonna be bidding out soon. So it's always nice having bid amounts and engineer estimates.
Okay. If we have to pull something up, maybe.
So, Mr. Chairman, can I ask one question? Did our mileage checks get delivered?
Not yet.
Still not yet.
I was told by the end of the month,
Okay.
I would have it.
That's tomorrow. The last business day.
We're
of the month,
supposed to
right?
do by the end of last.
I don't think we're
I
the
don't think the
only.
townships have gotten their payments yet. Have you? You have not?
No, they're still outstanding.
No, I don't think the county has paid any of their tax money to any of the agencies that I've heard from.
All right, thanks. That's just
You're
curious.
welcome.
All right, yeah, okay, this is me. I am proposing that myself and Hyder serve on the South Airport Steering Committee. I spoke to him about it last week. Number one, because I've been a cheerleader for it, and I'm the presiding officer of this board. I did go to the Garfield board, and the Garfield board is of course been excellent to deal with, just like in all our relationships with them. They're really a model of how our staffs work together and how we work together. They've selected 2 people. Joe McManus, the chairman, is going to serve on the board, and Denny Schmuckel. And I need your approval for that. And I have a little bit of an update. Garfield submitted today with assistance that was really prepared by the county staff. The Michigan State Police have an emergency management and homeland security division that they've asked. They're taking proposals. You would know the acronym for it, but I don't. For flood mitigation assistance. And the 3 bodies of us that are going to be together in the steering committee, our commission, the county commission, and the Garfield board. Turns out the Garfield board is the only one who actually can apply for this. There's some technical reason, and Cameron from the county staff prepared this. Nice young man, and it was transmitted to Chris Barchef. and Chris submitted this today.
Oh, good.
And so there are people working on our behalf so that as solutions are proposed for the South Airport corridor, this is from planning money. And I'm glad to see it working in a positive direction. So I'm going to make a motion that I think it's what I need to do, that you would confirm myself and Hyder on the steering committee.
And I'll second that, but I do have a question.
Okay.
And that is, I believe I've read about the makeup of the committee on the ticker, but can you go over who's on the steering committee?
Sure, and I thought we got.
Yeah, I thought I saw a piece of paper.
I sent it to all of us.
Okay,
a
and I wasn't
few
able to
weeks
find it,
ago.
but can we
Yeah,
so the public knows who's gonna be on
Sure.
this?
Two of our board members that we just discussed, the two Garfield members who were discussed, the county board is going to select two members. I don't know who they'll be. I did not influence the county board. The Garfield board, I asked for them to do what they wanted to do. I have submitted a request that it be on the county board agenda for next week. That just went to Mr. Alger tonight before I got here.
Okay.
So hopefully they will go along with it. And then Andy Smith, the Drain Commission, who is elected across the county by all of us. And is the only one actually. When it comes to water and stuff and drainage districts and how we might fund things like he just spoke to us about tonight, I think in that role, he'll be an extremely valuable asset. Even though Andy talks more.
So in our board rules, we have special committees. And in there it talks about members of special committees shall be made by the board chairperson subject to board approval.
Right.
So you have to approve like
That was
approve the Garfield Township.
yeah.
So you had mentioned just the two of us, but I think we should incorporate all of the members of the committee outside
good
of our
point.
organization
Oh,
as well.
so what do we do tonight? Do you know?
I
Did
don't-
we approve the two?
You could
we're
approve
doing,
the
then
ones that
everybody else is done?
you know, and then once you find out the board.
I don't think we can disapprove county board members.
Well, no.
So,
I think,
yeah, boy,
And-
this has
and-
just been done really wrong.
Well,
I'm really sorry.
look, the bottom line is this, we have majority, we can override the board, our board rules.
Okay.
I mean, if necessary, the point is, I mean, it does, you bring up I think we developed that when we were assigning people to the Bluff Road.
Yeah.
Committee at the time. But yeah, I don't see a problem going forward, honestly. It just
I see a lot of problems going forward with this. I'm just, no,
with
the whole thing is just, I don't like to read in the ticker about stuff on a board I'm on. I don't like a board chair requesting a township to put a committee on the agenda prior to us even discussing it as a board. Like, I'm just no on all of it.
We approved this
But
last
we
week.
did not until Thursday night at 6 p.m. in the Garfield Township Board. You contacted them 2 days before on Tuesday to put it on their agenda. We got a contact from the local media, Susan and Charlie did, wanting to have Dan do an interview about a committee that our board hadn't even met about and decided who was on it. Like, I appreciate, first of all, I love the topic. So I hate that this is a topic that's so important to me. But like, man, this has just been not done right.
I think
Kurt ahead of the horse.
I believe that the road commission has tried to do big projects before, and I think on an emergency basis, I have some responsibility to take the lead here. And I think we've had a chance. Last week, you presented a proposal to us, which I didn't mind the Okerstrom thing, but you said you guys had it hidden. You found it in the basement of the Garfield Township Hall. Well, that's not leadership. That shouldn't be that way. This should have been, you've been on the board with me for 3 years, and we've talked about in January of 24, we all made a motion and voted unanimously to work on South Airport Road.
Right.
On Hartman and South Airport. I don't understand why that wasn't brought forward.
I forgot about it. I thought I explained that to you.
You did, but I'm leading. I'm leading.
The reason why I made that presentation at the last meeting was because you made a presentation at the meeting before, and then it was made to the townships, and then it was made to the MTA lunch. And I think it really looked like our staff and our board had something to do with that design, and we didn't.
If you looked at the minutes and stuff, and what was presented to them, it was strictly Commissioner Lehman's idea.
Well, I'm just trying to even it out a little to say there's 5 of us. 5 of us are Dan's boss, so not one of us can tell Dan to do something. All 5 of us have to. We have to discuss it in an open meeting, transparent. And the makeup of the board, as far as the committee, last week when we discussed South Airport Road Committee, 100%. It's a fabulous idea. I can't imagine anybody not wanting to do that. But I thought we were going to discuss it at our full board meeting about who's on it. Because I don't necessarily want 2 members of Garfield Township's board on it, or 2 of the county commissioners, or I might. But I never got a chance to have that discussion. And Garfield Township already appointed 2 people to the board, and we haven't even appointed people to the board. You picked somebody, but maybe I wanted to be on it.
Allow me to push back a little bit in Alan's defense. He sent out prior to the meeting that you approved.
Yeah.
You approved that committee.
No.
You approved it premised on what he sent out. He did send out the makeup of the committee prior to that meeting. And
Well,
that's
then
what
I
you
made
voted
a
on.
horrible mistake.
Then you made a horrible mistake.
Because I thought we voted to move forward with the concept and we were going to discuss it this week at the full meeting. And then all of a sudden, it was on a township's board meeting to pick members before we've ever even picked a member of who's going to be on it.
We're getting a little mixed up here because you did communicate with us what you thought the steering committee should look like. And it's just a matter of timing here. People are upset about the timing. So I think we're fine. You've made your recommendations. I seconded it. Now the question I have is, do we need to expand it to include the Garfield people? And whoever the county and or can we just do ours? And that's my question to Phil, because he kind of looked it up.
Yeah, I would have to, I mean, I was just reading from our rules of order.
Okay.
In here, and I mean, members can be, they don't have to be board members, they can be any member from the public.
So maybe make
Two.
your motion to include the Garfield.
Okay. And the motion includes the Garfield 2 appointees, and I can't name in a head of what would happen with
the county.
Whoever the county.
But to accept the 2 appointees that Garfield Towns, that Grand Traverse County will select.
And the Grain Commission.
And the Grain.
And I'll
You'll take your
support to this change.
Okay. Is there further discussion?
I don't think I am allowed to say much more, so I'm not going to.
I have said, Alyssa, that I think some dissension on the board is good, and I'm not. You've stated your point, and I think I've stated mine, and we work together on many things.
I'm not worried about that at all. I want to be very clear that it's super important that not one commissioner, not one of us ever represents that we're speaking for the whole board unless if it is a publicly discussed board action. That's all. I don't want it represented to the staff. I certainly don't want it represented to the townships that I'm in favor of something that I'm not in favor of. And that would be direction to Dan by any one of our board members.
I don't see any difference between what he did, which I saw as just his idea, because I had some people ask me, hey, wait a minute, what about this?
Thank you. There was a lot of that.
Yeah, I said, it's just his idea. It was a spitball kind of, hey, we could do this kind of thing. And he kind of threw it up there. Just as that found in the basement idea.
Why I did it.
Right. So I don't see a difference.
I did it just to make sure that.
But I think there were people that took that in the same exact way. So I don't think there's really,
Hey, you know what, you guys, it's okay. The majority of the time, all 4 of you don't agree with me. That's okay. That's why we have different people on the board. But I do want to put in the back of everybody's head that when you speak as yourself individually as a commissioner and not as the board, unless if it's a publicly voted on board action and discussed in the public.
What we've discussed here is exactly why I'm happy we have a steering committee, because somewhere between probably what Alan showed us that he's showing us what did he answer?
Yeah, I think it's important that, I think.
I'm not sure I'm happy with that.
Yeah,
I think that's moving those two goalposts or those two bookends a little to a different end. Anyway, call the vote.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor of this, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, thank you. Okay. Traffic light signal update.
Oh, yeah, aye.
So this is just something I wanted to throw out there. I want to talk about traffic lights, and if you've driven through town lately, you're definitely on your mind. So it's,
Sorry, I shouldn't laugh.
it's been about 5 years since
all good, brother.
we did a countywide look at our timing for all of our lights together. So it'd probably be an appropriate time to bring up the conversation and start talking about that. The thing we need to discuss is obviously with Beitner closed right now, it's throwing off all of our timing with a lot of our lights. So they're not probably optimized correctly, but if we optimize them correctly now for Beitner being done, we're probably gonna need to do it again once Beitner reopens. So there's kind of a twofold. Do we want to do something right now before we get into the summer traffic and try to optimize for Beitner being closed and then look at it again? Now this is kind of a specialized engineering thing that you usually contract to do their software, that whole 9 yards. So it's something that we do internally. It is about $100,000 to do something like this.
Before we go forward with something like this, first off, we've had no opportunity to establish a bid for this. B, I think we would, especially given what you're saying, it's going to go back to normal, whatever the hell normal is, at some point. I think we can attack some low hanging fruit, and I've really offered my opinion, whether solicited or not, on some of what I consider to be low hanging fruit. I think that the timing, in fact, I've been watching today, the timing at Hartman and US 31 is perfect. It really is. It's been working great. I think there are lights in our system that I wouldn't change them one iota. They worked then and they work now just as they're supposed to. Most of us out there for corridor, but for park is nasty. It needs something done. I drive through every intersection in our county at least a few times a night at this point. And I can tell you, I could continue to give great advice, or what I feel is great advice on what to do to tighten up and maybe make people a little happier. Not everybody's going to be always happy, because sometimes the feeder roads that just have to wait a little longer. For example, we have to have real flow. But there are really only a few bad actors in the signal department that we need to take care of. And again, I'll say Silver Lake has a couple of them. Honestly, spending money on a study right now, that kind of money on a study, we've got so many other fish to fry that every dollar we put into this study is a dollar that is going into fixing our roads, which also needs. So.
If I may, Jim.
Yes, of course.
My only concern, that's somebody who travels off the airport at around 5:15. I'm very concerned when July comes of gridlock. But I don't know why we would go through and time and signalize stuff when one of our arteries that handles 20,000 cars a day is closed. Kind of, you are gonna have to do it again. So there's something we can do to try to make sure traffic can continue to flow when July comes. Would be great, but I agree. I don't think the study right now is warranted until we get that open and we can figure out what's going on.
Next. Five-year plan.
All right, so we're gonna try to have that work session, to go through this before.
Oh, yeah.
That was before we had, all the national disasters and all this stuff. So this is something I still been wanting to show the board. At some point, I think it would be appropriate still to do a work session, but I still wanted to tell you all the hard work that's gone into this. It's something that's been in the making for, a couple of years. I mean, we had, getting our roads rated, our car count. We've been working toward this moment, so it's really great to show. Joe's here tonight. He's gonna do a presentation for us. This is something that I would like to see us move on pretty quickly, because the goal is to get like 3 years worth of projects out and get 3 years worth of projects designed, have them on the shelf ready to go, so we can start bidding our projects, around the first of the year. We're first in line, we're ahead, we're ready to go, and this is the step to finally get us there. So I'm really excited about this project. I'll turn it over to you, Joe. Okay.
So, as you remember, we began the CIP, the 5-year CIP, some time ago. There were some delays in getting all the traffic counts in from the count company, and we were hoping to present this earlier, and like I said, it didn't work out then. So we're here now to kind of show you what we've been working on. So typically, CIP, you get yeah, we'll get it.
Is it working?
It's on
there, but not on the two. On the east wall.
There we go.
Yeah.
Just on the other desk.
So what we were working on this time was, you hear us talk about data-driven decisions. And when we look at a CIP plan, what we want to do is maximize the investment into the road infrastructure. And that is following the asset management principles. It piggybacks on the TAMAC asset management plan that was submitted and redone. But this takes it a step further and helps lay out within a specific budget a 5-year capital improvement plan. So what this is it's a combination of all the road ratings for Hazer, the PCI data that came from the Transoft map, and the traffic counts all kind of put into one database. So what this project is before you is it's taking all of that information and selecting roads based off of their, what would be priority. The simplest way to do it is traffic volumes. There's other factors, but typically that's a very low hanging fruit way of doing it. Now, understanding that there's information we can't put into the computer. There's townships coming to you, say, we want this project in a couple of years, or this project's a priority for XYZ. So, what we did was took the information, put it all together, and gave it the list of typical project selection, which is crack fill, chip seal, overlays, crush and shapes, and then your roads that just need a full on reconstruct. It takes the number of years of service life added. It takes the average width of the roads from the Transmap data, gets square yard costs, and looks to maximize your network's improvement based off the number of years that a certain fix adds. So the general idea of asset management principles is you have 1,000 miles of roads. Every year you lose 1,000 miles of road years. So every year, 1,000 miles older. What you want to do is make your budget so that way you're adding more years of life to your network than 1,000 years. So it would be, you're fixing 20 miles of road with chip seal and you get 10 years. That's 200 years added to your network. So if you have a certain amount of money, why stop at 1,000? Go as far as you can with your budget. So this this is ArcPro. It's a script and a piece of software that we wrote specifically for this purpose. It'll get bundled up and given to the road commission as a tool for them to use. So it's a living software that has projects go in, projects happen, budgets might change and road ratings get updated, you just add that data to it and rerun it. So if you do traffic counts in another year, you can put in those new traffic counts and get an updated plan. So it's a tool that makes selecting projects and looking at your overall network for 5 years very fast. So a process that you would normally work through line by line, road by road, selecting each fix, putting it into an Excel table, calculating it, figuring out what you've already done and moving on to the next year. This will do it in 45 seconds. So you can change budgets, you can filter out, zoom into a township. They want to have a meeting, we have some money, we want to know what we can do. We can put $100,000 a year to roads. You can filter out their roads, put in a budget of 100,000 and it'll spit out a CIP plan. Is it perfect? No, there's that political aspect of things that are important.
Right.
So what you can do is, if you know that there's an important project coming in 2 years, you override it and say, in year 2, this project's happening.
Okay, so you're adding weight.
You're adding weight to it. You're telling it when to do that project. So it'll put that money in the budget, take it away from, and it will maximize based off of that.
Now I'm curious. I was told today that some high volume roads are not really ever good candidates for chip seal because the volume is so heavy that
that is true.
It wrecks it just doesn't even, it doesn't provide any real benefit.
No, that is true. You'll get bleeding, which is where that emulsion underneath, just the amount of cars and the engine and the tires, and it reactivates essentially.
Okay.
It comes back to life, and that's where you see like the rubber road appear. An example of it was High Lake Road and the turn by Hammond Road.
Right.
That with all that heavy turning movement, that chip seal kind of came back to life, and it was buried for a while.
Yeah.
So when that happens, the best treatment for that happening, it does happen sometimes, is when it's really hot out, you kind of go spread some sand on the road and put some signs up, say 35 miles an hour, and let them grind the sand into it and
then
bridge it back.
So,
but they're like 3 Mile and South Airport, Garfield South Airport, 3 Mile Hammond, Garfield Hammond, intersections like that would not be a great
yeah.
candidate.
So having said that, so there are roads within our network that are just plain too high for that type of application, and this accounts for that.
It will tell you to do preventative maintenance. There's sometimes other options that you can do for capital preventative maintenance.
Okay.
We've been exploring rejuvenators.
Yeah, right.
Haven't really found one that, some of it's snake oil, some of it seems to work, some of it they say it does.
But you want to time off the road too, if we're using a rejuvenator, right?
Yeah. So there's options for that, but like South Airport, from Veterans to 31, that road, maybe some crack fill if it ever gets that far, but that road was built with a pretty substantial cross section. So a good approach would be, as soon as you start to see cracking, stay on it, pay attention to it. It doesn't have to happen that first year, but that's a good candidate for nighttime milling fills.
Got it.
You mill down, get below the cracks that are coming from the surface, and just put a new asphalt surface on it. And it's a bit more expensive, but it's also super high priority road.
Right.
So the structure's there to do that. And it's things you can do at night, get a lane open, try and keep traffic moving as best. So that's like the human decisions that, we can tweak the code and have it do something like that. That's very much a possibility. It's not in there right now. Okay. But that section of road's in good shape, so it doesn't say to do anything to it for the next 5 years anyways. So what we're looking at here is, this is a 5-year map of where you would be, try to make the screen a little bigger for you. The blue is year 1, and it is heavy on preventative maintenance. So preventative maintenance is the cheapest, and dollars per mile you're gained, it's your best bang for your buck. So right out of the gate, it's heavy on chip seals and crack fill. Let's see if that'll power up. I gotta change my share. Sure. There we go. So we had two pools of money that we looked at. One was local roads, the local crews, those higher priority local roads, and the primary road network. So discussions with staff, we assigned $8 million a year to the primary road network and $6.5 million with some township matches anticipated towards the local road network. So this is just the list of the roads. And it just runs until it maximizes the budget in the years added. So it's very heavy on the chip seals. Then your light CMP, that's your crack fill. It had enough left for a year for a couple of reconstructs on some roads that needed it. Some high priority ones that showed up were like McCray Hill. That one's been talked about a lot. So it did show up on the list as something to look for. And then the rehabilitations, those are overlay projects. So roads that aren't yet in need of a crushing shape, but go get those overlaid and buttoned up and add some structure to them when you can. And then one crushing shape on a road. So I've talked about this with staff. We've looked at it, tweak it, get a list that everyone's good with. So this is just what this puts out. This is no sit down, discuss plan. And then the primary roads, again, heavy on the capital improvement, the chip seals, crack filling those roads that have come due for crack fill, and do reconstructs and lots of overlays and some crushing shapes. So year one came to about $14 million that it identified. And then year two, you see that number change a little bit, mainly because you're out of preventative maintenance on the primary road network after year one. Something to discuss is contractors' availability and timing to get all that done. So can we get that much chip seal done in the summer here? So that would be, you can spread that out. Roads don't change tremendously from one year to the next unless it's Potter Road.
Yeah. That was special.
But those are handled differently. So it again runs through heavy on the preventative maintenance and the overlays that you can have. Built directly into this is any road that is reconstructed or crush and shape or has a significant structural overlay on it, it automatically budgets to do the chip seal the very next year. So you don't see that in this list, but it takes all those roads that have a significant improvement done to them, puts them on a list for chip seal in the next year, pulls that money out of the budget, and then runs it. So it cascades on itself. So, yeah, that's the list. I wanted to present it to you as a discussion. We can, it'd be good to sit down and have a formal work session on it and really focus in on it. And then finalize like a 5-year list. And then another thing is when I switch my share again. Sorry about that. Not used to Zoom.
Well, you're still working with this. So have you worked with him on this? Has he shown you? Have you worked with this software?
What's pretty impressive about it is you could say, like he's around, for example, here, from Moylan Township, and they come to say we have $300,000 to spend on roads this year. And then you take a match, $600,000, and you put it in there. We can print out a map for the township, and it has all their roads. It has the car counts, it has the rating of the road, then it'll highlight the roads we should take a look at, and you can start to say that one, what the township's looking at. A lot of times the township will come to us and say, what road should we look at? What road should we be doing? And we're not 100% sure. You can do this and it gives you a really good conversation starter. So it's pretty impressive in that aspect.
Yeah. And then when you're done with this list, one of the nice things is for the maps that go out on the county website, like the projects, built right into the software that the road commission uses to push that stuff out. So that would be one of the years that's heavier on the bigger projects because there's more preventative maintenance.
Okay.
So right from that list, you can create maps that have what you're doing per year. So it's not duplicating efforts. You can pull the data right out of it. It's already in the software that makes the maps. And as far as running this goes, if you want, I can do it really fast.
It's also an interesting way to look at, the discussion always comes about millage, like is 1 mill enough, certain things like that. You could start to show different steps of where you could get off of different dollar amounts, and you play around. What happens if you add an extra $1 million in the system? What happens if you add $10 million in the system? Those kind of things, and you can, like Joe said, in under a minute, you can run these whole new scenarios of what it could look like off there in fundamental.
So for forecasting and modeling and then setting future budgets, it's really fabulous.
Yeah, it's a really cool tool that's,
Yep. So you pick.
It was built specifically for Grand Traverse County Road Commission.
So is this all roads?
What we're looking at,
Not
right?
including dirt?
Not including there, it's all,
Yeah.
all your paved roads.
It's all paved.
All
roads.
paved roads and filtered out subdivision roads. So it does not include subdivision roads. If that's something that is desired to be in there, we can just turn that back on.
Well, I happen to represent townships that have dirt roads and they're gonna ask me
Yes.
what their plan's going to be, so I
Mhm.
wanted to know.
So what we did was we prepped the layers, like 3 different data sets, and pulled in a prep layer. We have documentation for the road commission on how to do that when things come up, how we went through the process of prepping that data and pulling it together. And then
I would think in this case, Joe, I think when we do a project on a dirt road, because we have to, perhaps, we take it out of the pool of money then that's available to this, and it's gonna reallocate. Am I?
you could, yes, you would just adjust your budget.
It would adjust the budget.
Okay.
That's great. Want to be covered when I go down.
So you just select your criteria as you do a drop down. This overwrite field is where known projects were put in. Sometimes it told different road segments that it would do like a mile and a mile and a mile in 3 different years. And you can just go in and say, no, we want to do the full 3 miles in 1 year. Just as a practicality standpoint. So with this,
And it recognizes where our funding is coming from. I was just noticing you have some listed at 51, so.
yep. So it's the legal system, local, primary, that data's
Yeah.
on the road segment.
Fascinating.
It groups by segment name. So like as it goes through. So one of the problems with the data for ratings is it's very segmented, very small segments. And getting a continuous project is very cumbersome for like using the data. You get quarter mile segments, mile segments. It gets
Yeah.
all over the place.
Like brackets, a 2 in some parts and 4 or 6 in another.
Which
Yeah.
is interesting, we can use this in a reverse way, is that we can look for those specifically, and then we can have staff go out and say, this is a really good road, but this 20 feet is terrible. It'll identify that 20 feet. We cut that out ourselves, we pave that back in, and all of a sudden this road, the whole rating goes up because of, that small
Got it.
section we can
I
repair.
like that.
That's something our staff could do internally for a lot lower cost.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting the way you can control the data. That's
Or
different ways.
even small projects to help build some of our competitive forces out there. That would be awesome for that. I think.
Yeah, you won't tell it the maximum length of a project. So just generically, if I pick a mile, because typically the grid system's a mile. Once you get into town, it's not really as important, but when you're outside, the urban area, that's pretty good. 2 different ways to look at costs. So there is, you could do the weighted average, which takes all the ratings and all the different fixes that you could do over a mile of road. So if you've got a segment from the PCI data that's a 8 and then the next one's a 6 and then it's an 8, it would say you're gonna crack fill, chip seal, crack fill, and it's like truly doing a mix of fixes across that segment of road. Generally, you don't do that. You just pick a mile, you look at it, pick a fix that kind of blends both together. So crack fill and chip seal and just cover the thing up while you're there instead of piecing it out and doing little pieces. And then the other way is it takes the lowest rated segment of road in that 1 mile and it plans for that project across the whole thing. While you're planning and engineering it, engineering judgment can come in and make some decisions on that after the fact. But as a budgeting purpose for 5 years out, you might as well plan on the most expensive fix. So that way you have some leverage for what you can do when you're actually digging into it, what the project is and have more data on it.
And how about as the roads change? Because some roads wear more than others. There's areas that we've seen a substantial depreciation in those.
So as ratings are updated, like it's going to be delayed. So if a road deteriorates faster and you've got a rating from last year, you notice that this spring you haven't done your ratings yet, you'd have to put that information into the software.
So you'd have to coach it at times, you think?
Yes. Yeah. You would.
As you completed a project, you would go in here and say, hey, this road just went from a 2 to a 10.
Yeah.
And it's going to recalculate it all over again.
And you can go ahead, select your road. Don't need to go out and do the ratings. You can just say, we know this segment is now a 2. And you can just change the rating to a 2 and it'll create it as such.
And we'll move it up the list then to the.
Yeah, if it's got enough traffic and it seems to be a high enough priority. Yeah. So like I said, it's data driven. It doesn't have emotions about what road's getting done first.
It's showing you how to best spend your funds to overall improve your system.
Yeah.
Bill, what do you think?
I kind of like it. Be very interested to see, running scenarios. I mean, we do a lot of, when we do a lot of roads around here, we don't replace existing. We kind of expand with paved shoulders, and some of those can significantly add to the cost of a project. I don't know if this takes into account like planned capacity type of improvements as part of that. Because
like on the reconstructs, if we're reconstructed, does it account for
added width or
growth?
So for the roads that it would be looking at, the roads that this was looking at, what we did was most of the roads that are like in the crushing shape or the reconstruct class, they're 24-foot wide roads with gravel shoulders. So it's going to take that square yardage off the 24 feet because that's the data we have. But I calculated the cost of a mile of road based off of doing paved shoulders. So
built into this.
So built into it, that square yard cost went up in order to account for that extra width that does happen. So instead of just looking at, we had a 32-foot wide road that we just.
So if we're in a pinch and we have to do a same as situation, it might come in a little less in our final engineering.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. While I was talking about this, I think
we'll be able to update the cost based on current projects.
Right.
Yeah, the table is completely editable. You can change what rating you want a certain fix to come in at. You can change the unit cost of it. You can change the life expectancy if something changes. So as things change and like looking at chip sealing right after a crushing shape or how the chip seals are performing on other roads, you can adjust how this treats your fixes as time goes. Nothing. So it's a tool. Like I said, it's a tool that is intended to be used into the future.
And as we add some human interaction to it, what people in the community say and bring forward to us, say, Frankie Road, or some others that wouldn't have maybe made the list because of some reason, we can interject that into the list and that'll change the numbers as it goes.
So you put that in as a project, it deducts that amount of money and then recalculates from there what your new best goal is or how you should actually move forward with it.
And with this, your intention is to do engineering for these projects. Chip seal doesn't need an engineering, but for a project that's going to need engineering, you're going to do the engineering a year or two ahead of time as best you can
Our
manage.
goal for this is to be years ahead. Even with the chip seals, we still got to send out one of our technicians and take measurements and calculations of how much chip seal we need to put out for bid. So we can have this information years ahead and we can start to be ahead instead of, road commissions typically work in the year, the season that they're in. We're going to actually start to move ahead. We're a couple of years out.
Yeah.
So, and then when you're doing stuff like that, you can let business owners and people know that, hey, we're coming, prepare for this. And you can get plans and you can have meetings, let them, have some input and talk that this is what's going to happen. So,
When we're at the last stage, it's stuff that gets,
yeah. So if the goal would be to put these out and have, an engineering firm get us a couple of years ahead and have like an 80% shelf ready design ready to go.
I love it because our baseline is not emotional, it's data. Now, the politics of the emotion gets put in eventually, but when
Right.
we started.
it needs human input.
Data run level. Can't really argue too much.
No.
And then, of course, like I said, the political part.
Yes, it's interesting. You start going through some of the roads, you go, I wouldn't have thought that road off the top of my head, but you look at it, that road and you go, wow, that road could be saved. I know it's kind of off the beaten path or whatever, but if you don't do anything, this road is going to be destroyed. Now you're at $1 million a mile. Hey, I can save this road for $70,000 a mile and I can put 10, 15 years on this road. And to me, that's not the path that everybody's thinking about, but why let that road get destroyed? This is really pointing those roads out to you.
And so what I did while we were talking was I adjusted the budget. I said $1 million for local roads, 4 million for the primary roads. Hit the button and this is the list that it came from. Like while we were sitting here. So it makes the planning out the years a lot faster. And your map is already updated. So you're not taking a list, putting it into the software. So you're coming off of a list here, you're putting a list over here and it's all in one spot. And then you can export the table right out, dump it into an Excel form and it spits out your years. Because it spits out the information the same way every time. So you can have templates set up.
I keep saying this over again. I'm really excited to go to the townships and print them out, a 3 foot by 3 foot map of every single road. Here's a car count on every single road. Here's a rating of your road. And then they can start to play around. Hey, what if we put $1 million in? This is what I look like. Hey, what if I only had $100,000? This is what it could look like. And I think it's really going to be a great situation when we work with townships.
I like the direction this is.
I think this is one of our primary goals we had a couple of years ago when we switched over the road commission. It was to make proactive decisions instead of reactive. I mean, you do have to be reactive when a road like Garfield collapses in the middle of the day. But, setting that aside, I think, one of the hallmarks of a board, there's very few things that a board does, right? I mean, but one of the things is to set policy. Obviously, the other thing is to pass a budget. And you can't make those decisions appropriately without data. And we were missing it. And I think you guys took the ball and ran with it. We gave a directive to gather the data. The data's been gathered and now the tool's been created to analyze it. And now we can move forward with the plan. And I think it's been done great. It's been executed exactly as we had, I think, all hoped for it to be done.
Yeah.
So,
And this was kind of one of those, hey, I think the technology's there to do this. And asked a few questions to some people who knew nothing about roads, but knew how to write code.
yeah,
They
you
thought it
gotta
was a
bring in
cool
the
idea.
nerds.
I like it, Joe.
You gotta bring in the nerds. We need them.
I think like we built that ditching bucket over the winter and we started to
Yeah.
use it because we couldn't have one. I think
Bring in the nerds.
other road commissions are going to start to take notice of what we did here.
Yeah.
I've had a conversation with a few other ones. They're asking about us doing car counts and told us what they're doing. They're like, wow, that is a really good idea.
And
Some very large road commissions. This is
it
pretty
Yeah.
built off of asset management principles that are preached at all the conferences and keeping your good roads good to maximize your network.
We could use some of the published data from this in our TAMC report too, I imagine.
Yeah, your project selection for your
Yeah.
5 year. Yeah, like
There's, this is a great example. The MPO wants like a 30 or 40 year one, and it's like, I don't have a clue where to start. How do you?
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, get a start.
Here you go.
So Hyder's not here, so I asked the question, is this copyrightable?
Yeah, right.
And who would own that, Joe?
You might have created a whole other business.
When the engineering committee reviewed the scope of the projects and we went ahead and you won the go ahead to do this. There was an estimate based on how much you thought it was going to cost to bring back a 5-year plan for us. Are we within a reasonable amount of the 5-year plan?
for the fee.
Yeah. Yeah. I did a lot of work for a very reasonable amount of money.
I think so too.
I mean, we'll give you a real commendation for that, Joe, because that was your proposal was modest, big in scope and modest in money. And that's really of value to the road commission.
And I hadn't planned on rewriting the asset management plan for AMC in there either, but that was, it needed to get updated. Didn't plan on a full rewrite, so we put that in there too.
We're happy.
Yeah, real happy. It's really good news.
Thanks, Joe.
So look, we're planning on, we got it bundled up and we can share the software over it. Yes, there is a electronic file release point.
I see how that goes. Yeah.
He's thinking fast on his feet right now.
Will you elaborate for us on the second part of that, Dan, what we were talking about the other day, thinking about the two roads that we voted on a couple months ago to move ahead with Zimmerman design. And, Hyder, since the time he was chairman, we have tried a number of times to figure out something. Maybe when you were chair yet, Joe, the safety, the requests for planning help have went back a number of years and we haven't won. And we're going to design, we're going to move ahead with some request for proposals and get to like a 30% design on projects that we haven't done. If we're going to budget for them, like normally the commissioners and Phil prepares a budget for us and we talk about these things in November and finalize it in December. If we're going to have a design that we're going to put in, because Garfield offered us this money for this last December, and because of the stress on the engineering staff, we haven't been able to do this. So we can't even take advantage of the money that they've had available this year for this particular project. So if we want to take advantage of it next year, and we want to know how much it's going to cost, because like building a new road is something we haven't done much of around here, at least the 6 years that I've been on the board, 5.5 years. So if we're going to have something budget ready, a 30% design to get the budget done, if I'm working backwards, how long is it going to take an engineering firm to give us that? Joe.
So 30% design on
like the Zimmerman extension, a place where it's been in the, at least talked about it, it's been in the community plan since. And you even suggested
It's in their plan, in the Garfield Township future planning.
Yeah. And we talked about like how North Long Lake Road would even, as it comes out of the city, would even go to that. To get to something that complex, how long is that going to take so we'd have it ready for the end of the year? So if we get a winner and somebody's going to do this, how long might that take?
Well, you start with like getting permission to go and doing some survey so you can get an idea. So 30% plans usually involve survey, preliminary design, not full grading. It'd be 2D. So you come with concepts and then you got to work out like, how does it come into Harris Road and what does that intersection look like? So there'd be some back and forth on that, just plans, concepts. And once you've got something that everyone believes is the right direction to go, then you take it a step further and you get to where you're working on the grading. You're seeing how big are these easements going to be, like to get it done, what's temporary grading licenses and permits and what's permanent easement. So little brief communication with any utilities that might be there. Because I know there's a water main that runs through there. So I would say like to get 30% with the communication and the back and forth on the concepts to get to where you want to be, something like 3 to 4 months would be.
So if we took the end of that, said 4, because we have had trouble getting stuff back to us. There's been, at times things get long. So if we want it in November or December 1st, we go back 4 months from there, come back here. That's got to be, we need to award a contract for those then. So when do we need to ask for these? Last week, Dan? I am asking for some things that we've talked about and these things don't have a way to shift. They're going to have to shift our plan a little bit too, right? The numbers that we would present along with partner contributions, which are what we have to put in less partner contributions, are going to shift the plan. But in order to get something, if you start counting back, we need an engineering firm by the 1st of July or something.
If someone got started on it in August and worked on it, you would have something by the end of the year.
Is there an update on the development there? Like there was a developer that was in our meeting a few months ago.
I have not heard a single thing since they were here the last meeting.
He disappeared.
Yeah, I ran into him in town, but I don't think he was excited to see me. But the idea behind this was it would have been finished with the second PUD. The first PUD paid for the first part of the road, and the second PUD would have paid for the last part of the road.
Yeah.
The water main was placed at a depth already intentionally because they had assumed that second PUD would take place, and that couple chose to sell the property after the pandemic. I think there were some changes in that development that they wanted. It was a single family home development. Now there's another development, but I don't think that they are talking about the entire piece of property. So that plays a role in it too. But that's something to consider, when you have that kind of buy-in in partnership on finances, that's significant, but I don't think that necessarily a design would prevent that from taking place. But I think one of the things that was mentioned by the developer here at our meeting, which was a valid point, is the ingress egress of whatever development is designed there is, kind of set on how that road is going to look. And right now that road would have to be changed. It
has that big cul-de-sac and
it's a U-turn or a roundabout, whatever you want to call it. And so obviously whoever builds there, if it's prior to the road design, they have to play a role in it because that's not going to be the entrance to whatever development you do, right? It's not possible with, the way that it is right now. So I think there was always that weird timing. I don't think it was necessarily somebody dropping the ball as much as there was just some weird timing. And that's why we've seen it drawn out. Perhaps this development is moving along faster than any of us know about. And there's a partnership there and they're looking for an ingress off of that road and they're going to be paying for a lot of that.
And one thing that would take the time, to get this is you're putting in an extension to Zimmerman Road, and everyone knows Zimmerman Road south of North Long Lake is big. And people are gonna go north if you extend it through because it's a very convenient route.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. So you got to look at what happens around that. So you got Barnes Road. And there's signals.
The Harris Road blinking light.
The Harris Road blinking light. So you would really want to do a good traffic impact study and get a feel for what improvements might be needed.
Yeah.
Just to get cars out once they get out there. Not to have tremendous impacts on the surrounding roads.
Right. I know as we get more data driven, it makes it easier to make our running selections. Some theoretical things that have been our community's mind for a long time need to be brought forward because that's what we're exactly what we're supposed to
and
do.
some of that's that long range traffic planning. You're trying to look out to the future of what's needed. But things are going so fast in some places.
Something we just recently did, we hired a intern for the summer. He's a surveying intern. And he's gonna work with Jeff and he's gonna go out and he's gonna start getting survey data, looking stuff at these road projects, but also some of the things like Zerms, and so we can start bundling those up with them all. So we hired them specifically for the summer to go out and start collecting this data.
Cool. Great. We're, commissioners are pretty happy.
Thanks.
You guys did a good job, Joe.
Yeah, and as far as projects go, maybe this is a public service announcement. Anything that you got going on that's federal aid, the NEPA and environmental process is 6 to 12 months out before you can go to your 80% meeting, and they're taking every inch of that. So those projects that we know have federal aid tied to them that are out in the future, those are the ones that you want to really get 30% plans and get that stuff in as early as possible. Because it's around the state, it's not just here.
Yeah.
So
It's not how we're being served. It's the backlog from this, similar to all areas.
yes, and
It's a part of road building people don't quite understand.
yeah, and I'm talking to other offices that I work with, they're all complaining about the same thing. So yeah, it's cross board.
Anybody else have anything they want to add to this?
No, it's fantastic.
Thank you very much, Dan. Good job. We waited a long time. I know Chris has been real involved with this too. It's nice to see it. You know, talked about it now for a couple of years. And I know you don't like the last minute stuff.
Now we're gonna talk about adoption, right?
What?
Euchre Road.
Oh,
Yeah.
So, the state did reach out to us recently and they said that, you know, the project's coming along out there, obviously putting a roundabout in. They're about to a stage where they'll start to remove some of the structure they put in, obviously the light they put in there at 633. If we want to keep that light, we need to start to decide if we're gonna do that, and then we need to start getting temporary right away, stuff like that. We need to get permit right away. We have to decide if we're gonna take that light into our system. So
The equipment that's already there.
the equipment they
Okay.
purchased, in even the turn lanes that are there, those are due to come out. At minimum, I think the turn lanes are a great asset. We should probably leave the turn lane in there. The signal, that's,
But I ask you like what Nicole said, because it's in her township, and we always say that the townships are really important. And she said, keep it.
Yeah, really.
I suggested maybe we keep it and put it in a flashing mode, like 113 and 37 have been done for so long. It was a way to, if people don't feel there's justification for the light, but maybe for a flashing light, instead of
A missing stop sign.
a stop sign that somebody runs over. And it was just we might be able to keep it, but what you talked about, we need to buy the easements of the turn lanes, which everybody seems to like.
yeah, the light, it doesn't need any one single warrant, but it's like one under on several warrants.
So cumulatively, it has a benefit.
It probably would not be recommended to put a light there if you were to do,
Yeah, I wouldn't think
go up
so.
in engineer's status.
And some of the traffic is going to go away that MDOT knew what they needed for that but I do think you should really consider what the township wants, because we do. And if we can leave it in a flashing mode, it would let us make a decision about it later. Even if we accept it, we can go down and take down the light.
My response to this is that's the only light that has been temporarily put in that I've had a consistent request that we keep.
Oh, that you
That
have?
we keep. The other ones they put in, nobody's ever made a comment about the other two. You know, one in the right south of Interlock, and then the one on the other side of Euclid Road. I haven't had anybody ask me to keep those. But 633. I don't know whether it's part of the emotion because there's a lot of crashes on 633. That's the only one, and I do think we should get to turn lanes and then do something, whether you keep the light or you flash the light. But that is a high request from that area.
Because Carlin Road / Euchre, unnecessary. Completely unnecessary there, but.
Well, if there isn't a traffic light, then there should at least be the turn lanes for sure. Because that's what creates that safety buffer with the left turns, if, you know. And we have to purchase that.
Well, people come
That
flying up
easement.
there, and that's one of the problems we had with the stop signs falling down or being taken, and this, I mean, that whole nightmare, this last year. you have a flashing light. You can't say you didn't see it coming.
Right. And the speeds will increase again once
Yeah, they will.
if they take the light out, they will increase those speeds.
Well, I'll be at Blair in a few weeks. I can have Blair Township what they
Yeah.
think, and maybe they can gather some information. I don't have a personal opinion as I don't drive that area very much, and particularly now with the construction. I think a lot of people are avoiding it. The only one I hear that everybody wants to keep is Secor Road. That's the one that I hear consistently is Secor Road. So I haven't heard much feedback, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I just personally haven't heard the feedback, but I will ask Blair since I go to all their meetings. And I'm sure they'll have some good input for us on that. And I can let you guys know at the next meeting.
Secret is Kerrfield, right?
I think that's Garfield. That's not Long Lake UN. Just show
No.
that.
No.
Part of Secor's in our area, but that intersection, a lot of people love that. And I know there's a lot of traffic that's just caused because that's the new detour that most people.
Yeah, that's the other part of it.
And, but I can tell you that like, even without this construction, you have people backed up at Secor and they're taking, just shooting out in the middle of some of that sometimes. So,
Without
the light.
Yeah.
I think the light.
And it works really nice now. I mean, you could get 5-10 cars through it in a pretty decent time. I think the light changes timeline on the weekends.
It does. I
I think it
think,
does.
yeah.
It goes,
Which makes sense.
it's about a minute to sit there and you'll get 5-10 cars through it easy. So
The only other comment I'm gonna make on that light is that, I picked up, can't get it confirmed, but MDOT has been talking about changing 113 and 37 to a roundabout, which will change traffic flow. If you're coming out of Buffalo, there will be people who will go across or 633 head south. They want to go through another roundabout. So if in fact the devil was ahead of that, all the more reason to probably keep some sort of illuminated light there.
So we like that. And we did talk about the buying of the right of way and this stuff. We had some trouble at Beitner. I don't know if Chris wants to, the people, when we make offers to them, that there's a real scientific formula that people don't respond well to. Because they don't understand what our temporary grading easements are. And we offer them $106 or whatever the formula is.
Sometimes it's as low as 15 sometimes.
Yeah. So when we were talking about impediments to getting the Beitner thing done, because we've got to get this packaged up and get Beitner and it kind of drags along. And one of the things that are missing are both property owners have hired lawyers and have said no. So, and the things we were offering, again, I'm going to cut this close again. We're a nice, gentle grade back to their property instead of a big bump. That's what we offered. Fix it back nice and maybe do some paving and all this stuff. But they didn't understand it. And so I suggested we offer a minimum of $1,000 and they both took the $1,000. And because it can't go to MDOT till it gets these things finished. And we could fart around with it all the time. And I guess we have to absorb those costs. It's on the statement that we signed. And so if we could have a policy to somehow that we have a minimum when we ask for something, that's what we offer. And then we offer a short timeline. I think, Chris, you only gave them 48 hours or something, or when their offers were resent.
We were capable of constructing that project without the grading easement. As you mentioned, the grading easement was entirely for the benefit of them and providing a nice gentle slope back onto their driveway to our new road surface. There was some requests that were, they were exactly 10 times what was offered. And that seemed, although the project is very needed and on a quick timeline, that seemed a bit like taking advantage of the situation. But because we had could construct that project that way, we kind of recommended that this was our offer, and they moved forward that way because we can move forward without it.
But it's something that as our transportation networks expands, we're gonna need to buy right away. And we need to be prepared for it and put some money to it.
There was a discussion at the home budget, wasn't there? I mean, there's some discussion about can you or should you buy the right of way prior to applying for the funding and everything? And well, asking if you're going to talk a little bit about that, but
It's weird too, it's like when you have a Fed aid one like there,
Yeah.
it's not like we just go knock on the door and have a conversation with them. You have to use a third party to do it, because if you can urgent, or you're pressuring them.
Right.
So then you have to use a third party, so if there's a set dollar amount, it's not just $50. The calculation comes off, I mean, sometimes you're doing them a favor by actually doing this, but
I mean, there's gotta be a procedure that we follow. We can't just have a board member going and offering people money, like for their property. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's an appropriate process. So if that's something where a board needs to help you guys or set a policy, I'm all for that. If not, then the board isn't involved in it. But where are we at are we running into a problem with this type of thing? Or do you think that we are? Okay. So is there some suggestions where the board can have a discussion about how to implement something that would assist you guys? Because we want to follow the law. We don't want to have any risk of coercion or any interference when lawyers are
well, and it
involved.
sets a standard so that when you're dealing with somebody, hey,
That's the process.
there is a
Yeah.
process, right?
And I certainly hope we have no more natural disasters in the near future and any residents that have any kind of damage, because none of us want that. But I think it's important to have a clear process so we don't have somebody just going and offering money to people, because that's not the even though it's the most efficient process, probably
it would make sense to be able to do that, right?
it would make sense and be efficient, but we're from the government. And so we have to have a process, but there is a reason for the process, and it protects us, it protects our staff, it protects the residents that we represent. So it's important to me that we have more procedures like this.
That's why
You're on the policy, right?
That's why I bring it up.
Yeah.
Because we cannot be held up. We cannot justify holding Beitner up because
I agree.
these things. So
It held up Walton.
it's still holding up Walton.
There is a process in place, and it will still be required regardless of what we decide in terms of the possibility of like a minimum offer. It is still laid out in federal law, and in order for us to get the federal funds, we have a process. There is a valuation of the property determined based on a market study for that piece of property, and then it is a percentage of that value, 10% for a temporary grading easement of the area that you are affecting. So you take the entire value of the property, prorate that to the area that you are actually going to affect with your proposed grading easement, and then it's 10% of the value of that. And that is the way that process goes under the federal regulations that we've got. Now, on just millage projects or county road commission projects, we have more latitude in how we can do the process there. And that is where, in the past, historically, way back when, it used to be mutual benefit and for the exchange cost of $1, and we did the improvements to their property. And if the homeowner was good with it, they could just agree to it. What you end up with is a lot of times, your property is one of your most valuable things, and people have an interest in making sure that they don't feel that they've been taken advantage of it. And if you go and you offer $15 because that's what 10% of the value of their property equates to for the little couple of feet that you're affecting to repair their driveway and tie it in, that almost feels maybe a little bit insulting. And so there is possibly some benefit to maybe setting a standard minimum offer. And then it's still kind of doing just that, even with our projects, doing that rough valuation so that if you are affecting a greater area, we're not undervaluing what we're
And you can say, here's the way this is offered, and here's the minimum offer we can make to you. But we appreciate your cooperation, and we will pay this much and within this timeline. And then we take these things that hang out there off the let the projects
You
proceed.
bring a policy,
Right.
I'm all in.
Yeah, I mean, we all know there's a difference between equality and equity,
Yeah,
right?
right,
So like,
right.
that's where you have to really think about that.
Yep.
But you still need a minimum base standard, because everybody needs to be treated fairly. But obviously there's little nuances to different projects too.
Awesome.
I do want to
Shortage,
note,
right?
I do want to note too, if I can, that with the federal aid projects, one of the other things that is a factor there is we are required to complete that NEPA review process that Joe mentioned is a 6 to 9 month process before we're even allowed to start property negotiations for grading easements. And so that must be completed before we can even talk to property owners.
We used to do them concurrently and no one had an issue with it. And in the last year, that has changed to where you have to complete the environmental and
We're not getting hung up on bike right now. are we,
No.
As a result of that.
We've kept things moving forward.
Okay.
Cedar Run would be one.
yes.
Cedar Run took a while for the NEPA. The
cleared
Summit
up.
City project, we are, this isn't federal regulation. This is property owner. It's owned by a corporation and it's with their legal department and that they, have no real motivation to be involved in that.
And how long, when did that first letter go offering them on that project? Isn't it 9 months ago or something? Wasn't it in September? I saw a date.
It's been nearly that long. Yes.
The Kingsley Telephone Company, which isn't the Kingsley Telephone Company anymore. It's called Brightspeed, right? That's what it was on the 9 months later, still, we want to make a safety improvement to this corner and it's federally funded. And the utility company, we talked about how great some utility companies are, like when Cherryland works with us. Fabulous, right?
Mhm.
This company is not doing its customers any favors. I wish they'd just those little.
I'm going to suggest that we reach out to the congressman's office and because they're federally regulated.
Well, it doesn't
See
the
if
town,
they can-
doesn't even each township have an agreement, a utility agreement with?
I'm not sure how the telephone thing works.
Yeah, I know, I'm not certain on telecommunications at all. Infrastructure.
Cable has to
utility,
have an
they're
agreement.
different, yeah.
All right, all right. Sorry, I beat that to death. I
Do you have
thought it
cable?
was important.
You do?
Well, I guess
Do you have telephone?
It's all spectrum.
Right. Yeah, because that's the thing. It's like this weird area because there isn't like the telephone companies anymore.
The next one, is my, I'm bringing to you a report that sometimes the staff is threatened and people don't operate very nicely at times. Most people are great, right? Most people are great. And some are not so great. And I think we need some sort of policy or training on how to engage with these people when they've been particularly difficult. And I don't know if a mediation service would be good because, I've talked to people about, well, they're going to sue us. Well, if you sit with us and talk with us, a lot of times we can work things out. Eventually, if you sue us, you're going to sit in front of a mediation and an arbitration panel, and a judge is going to make you talk to each other. So why don't we talk to each other first? Why do you have to threaten our guys? And why do you, get to the core of what you really want, what we need to do? We've had some things that drag on that haven't got addressed. And I'm asking you to think about, and maybe this is all we'll do, we'll get out of this for tonight, but you think about ways for us to mitigate very stressful situations.
Can I ask just one quick question? Are you talking about de-escalation training?
Yes.
I want to say I heard Gail talk about that. They might have
They might offer a program
program.
like that.
Yeah.
I think we
Might
talked
have a
about it, didn't we?
Program for our insurance people.
Let's start there. Okay. That's great. Okay. Joe, we're up to P. This is you.
This is me. So I've noticed a trend and it has to do with the bids coming in way higher than we anticipate them to be. My concern and issue is we are opening these bids, we are making the bid public. And then we're rejecting all of the bids and rebidding. I know that MDOT has a policy where the staff can kick it back if it's up over a certain percentage. And so I would wondering what the feeling would be if we came up with a policy that said if it was 12.5, 50% higher than we anticipated it, the staff can recommend rejecting it without making it public with like a notification of the chairman and then another member of either like the finance committee or the building committee so that the board kind of knows we're not going to do that. But it would not, without revealing the bids themselves to the general public, because once we get them in the packet, it's public. So if we're going to reject them.
Well, it's still public once they've been opened. Okay, I mean, that's the reality.
But it's not in our
whether
meeting.
or not it's in the packet.
It's not in our meeting. You're going to have to do your FOIA. You're going to have to do your FOIA.
Yeah, I mean, but that could still happen just the same.
Yeah.
And if I was a competitor, I'd want to know.
That's fine. So
I
let them go
just,
through the
you know,
process. And then that way we're not debating, we need to redo this. We need to redo this.
I think MDOT uses 12%.
12%, I couldn't remember what they use. I just think that.
And sometimes they accept them over that, I think, but it has to go before a review board.
Yeah, that's what I said. We'd have a check and balance with one or two people on the board. I just would like us to think about it so that we don't sit here and debate for 15 minutes and then say, we're going to rebid all this.
Okay.
I think a good example would be what Dan brought up today with the blades. He said it was a 300% increase. I learned recently that a lot of our metal sources come through the Straits of Hormuz. I did not know that, so it might explain some of that or it might not. But the point is, how would we have handled that with Dan's situation? Because we need to get the blades, and he just said, we got to do it now. If we don't make this, in a couple of days, it's going to go up. So we wouldn't have ever guessed that they went up 300%. And therefore it would have stopped that whole process that we just went through today. So I just want to make sure I get the concept, but I just think we're in a time period in our nation and globally where costs are so exorbitant that it could backfire on us and actually drag out things if they're just way out there. I mean, I'm more about relying on the staff and having them get bids in and go, wow, like every single bid is 300% over. Like I know that our board doesn't have us bring them when they're this, but look at what we're looking at. So I think that's just kind of, I just think we need to, I love setting a good policy, but I think we also need to employ good people and let them use their wings and do their job.
This would be permissionable. In other words, we need the blades. We're going to buy these blades. I mean,
well, I still
you're
think
not
it would
going to
be
not
up to
do
Dan
that
and the
bid.
staff to make that decision.
Yeah.
So it would be hard to set like a policy of like X%, like X% we don't, I don't know. I just
We'll think about it.
Yeah, just think about it. I like the concept, but I just know that in my field, I work in construction and our costs are so much higher than just 6 months ago when we first started looking at projects in numbers that you couldn't even fathom. So I don't want to constrict with it either. I want to make it a good policy that,
I just know we're getting more bidders now, and we don't want to discourage bidders by publishing rates and then.
I understand.
Protect the bidders.
Yeah, so I understand what you're going for.
Anyway, think about it.
I think Lisa makes some really good points on such.
Yeah,
You're on that committee. Think
the
about
concept is there
Yeah.
until you realize that we live in a world where our gas doubles overnight or something. So, yeah.
Anyway.
Q, sign, specialty. We haven't seen this.
No, this is something that we want to start working on. We're getting a lot of requests for specialty signs that aren't necessarily like our standard MUTDC signs. The problem with when you start putting up random signs, people start to get desensitized to signs.
Yeah.
So we're looking to put a policy together of how to handle these kind of signs that we're getting requests for. Maybe there's some that we should.
Like, give us an example, because I don't like Schnauzer in neighborhood or.
We get a lot of requests for like somebody like dementia or specialty needs area.
Okay.
And they just want it to be like a warning sign out there. We have several where parents say their kids like pulled out in the road for no reason. They want to put some signs up there, which there's no sign necessarily for that anymore. Standards. It's
For years, I remember when I was younger, you would see a little bit more of these like blind person in area. I think is the most
They're
common
still out
one.
there. I've seen.
And there's one on Barnes.
Yeah,
Which has been there forever, so I don't know if the blind person is still there or if.
Right.
Like,
What's our policy on taking them down?
And I bring that up only because like the blind person sells the house and then does the sign go down? And who's allowed to touch a sign? Like, can the
Right,
homeowner be
right.
like, the blind guy's
And
not here, like,
that's
we'll
the
take the sign out or?
problem. Somebody's moving that signs there for 20 years. So part of the policy we'd like to look at is that it's like a permit that you have to work within our right of way and you have to renew it every year. If you don't renew that permit. that
Oh,
year,
I see.
We go out and take that sign down.
Because no one should be touching signs in our road right away except for us, right? Like,
I don't
because
know.
the whole thing with the stop sign.
Yeah, I looked at a little of this when I was in the fire service. You might remember there was those stickers, like there's a kid in this window. They stopped putting those or recommending those in windows because a lot of firefighters lost their lives going into this window. It's
And the kid's been
he's in his
out of
40s.
school and out of college and
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
Yeah, because that makes sense. Like,
Yeah, now they teach, kids open the window, throw your pillow out, and the firefighter's doing a circle. He sees, a teddy bear or whatever, and he knows it's a kid.
yeah.
got it. So
I'm gonna be unpopular guy tonight. Can I ask a
No,
question?
I was the unpopular one already.
I understand the sign thing and I think we might even have things that kind of regulate sign safety, right? What about the makeshift crosses and memorials that are on ways? Should they be removed? That's right. I said I'm gonna be very unpopular here.
Very sensitive subjects, for those, but technically, yeah, when somebody puts a large cross within the right of way, that,
Yeah.
so you're potentially causing a hazard.
You are potentially causing a hazard. So
Very, very.
I know nobody wants to just touch third rail, I'm sure, but we should probably look at that too. I mean, maybe a significant time, but then you gotta dig it out.
Joey just took it to a whole nother level.
Well,
No.
No, we need to respect people and we need to protect our right of ways.
we
might have conflicting data, but our right of ways need to be protected.
Yes, and I feel bad when somebody loses their life on a roadway, but we have to think about the whole thing as a system, not just a memorial or something.
Maybe there's a timeline that we can agree on. Okay, thank you, Dan. You'll work on it. You'll talk to the policy committee and we'll think about it. Okay, I think we have commissioner comments here, which we sort of skipped above.
Okay. I wanted to talk about agenda setting. So the process for setting the agenda is the Thursday before the board meeting. Is that what it is?
Usually, well, I think it's been all over. I don't think we have a policy.
We usually put it out by Friday. Is that the thought process?
Last year we did Friday morning.
Okay, but we traditionally we get our packets out on the weekend or before the weekend. Okay. And obviously the chair, works with the staff to set the packet, but if the chair isn't available, it's the vice chair, which is the whole point of having a vice chair. So every board I've been on has had 2 commissioners involved in this. At the county, we rotated. It was the chair and then a rotating group. But I think that there should be more than 1 commissioner at the agenda setting meeting because that puts a lot of pressure on one commissioner to decide what we should see or shouldn't see. Because we need to be bringing more to the public. And so I would like to see 2 commissioners at the meeting. And it, can't be Jason because he's our vice chair. And obviously we're not going to hold up an agenda if Alan's not available. So Jason would come and, go to the meeting. So I was hoping that there could be other commissioners and even Jason could be circled in that whoever's available could meet and have some more input on the agendas. And just know what is not put on. Is there something that, maybe a bid is, you're having a discussion on a bid or something's going on. Well, none of us know about it because we're not at the agenda setting things. So I know you guys probably aren't gonna agree, but this is every board I've been on has had two commissioners.
I had a question about it, and for years, I never even knew who set the agenda. But I have I felt it was the board's agenda. And we would manage somebody besides me over the years has always managed it. I haven't been terribly disappointed by it, but if we have another person over time.
You guys always had two when you were the chair, didn't you? Have two people at the meeting?
Are you talking about that we?
You're talking about Joe. I'm not talking about you.
Yes and no. Part of the time we did, part of the time.
Yeah, but you had two commissioners that were there. You had Hyder.
And quite honestly, when you're setting to right, of course, when I was setting the agenda up, the staff could bring in what they want.
Yeah.
And you would have to explain why you wanted that on the agenda.
Right. So
To justify that's gonna happen. And the chairman, I mean, with Hyder and I did do a lot of dual.
Yeah.
Two people there. But as far as I know, that we were probably unique and setting the agenda,
you were.
right? Yeah, because Hyder and I would work
Yeah,
together.
because I mean, traditionally since I've been on, it's the chair works, sometimes it's a phone call, you go over the proposed agenda.
Well, I did not think anyone would agree with me, but I do know that when I was a county commissioner, we had two. When I was the president of Parks, we met with our vice chair.
I don't disagree. I don't think it's such a bad
Garfield
idea.
Township, we had both of us
It
on.
doesn't hurt to have a second eye.
And it's not like a requirement. It's not like, oh, we're not gonna, do this. But I do think we should be open to rotating people to be part of the process, have input, hear how staff brings things, and ultimately what's decided to be on the agendas or not. And if I was the person solely from the board doing that, I would want another commissioner with me. I always liked having my vice chair with me.
So recommend a policy where the chair can select one of the other commissioners who's not the vice chair to set with the chair or the vice chair, depending who it has to be, to set the agenda with.
Well, I don't think it's a policy. I mean,
It'd be in your board rules.
Yeah.
It kind of addresses it already.
Yeah.
But if you wanted to modify.
What does it say in the board rules?
Under number 5, agenda and regular meetings, it does talk about any commissioner or chair of a committee desiring to place a matter on the agenda shall notify the clerk of such item by 5 p.m. on the Wednesday preceding the meeting. Upon review and approval by the chair, this shall become the final agenda.
Okay, so it's kind of, I mean.
The other thing is, I have said to Dan and Kylie that if another commissioner brings us something, I respect what they brought to us and we put it on the
I don't
agenda.
think that's an issue.
And I don't think we've ever, and I don't think we've left anything off yet.
But I think what you're suggesting is actually a little more interaction on the actual items that are already to be placed on the agenda. And maybe the framing in which they're brought forward or something. I mean, because sometimes it's not a bad idea. Maybe we wait, because I've done that before as chair. So, I think we need to wait it's just a little longer. This is not ready for prime time yet. You don't have enough information, whatever the case may be.
Or something could be pulled from an agenda that the rest of us may have wanted to hear about.
And right. So I don't disagree with you.
Yeah. So I'm not asking for some big formal thing, but I just thought, being the only board I've been on that I haven't had this.
Maybe as a courtesy, Ellen, for the rest of the year, you could say, hey, Joe, or hey, Elisa, or hey, Hyder.
Rotates once
And
in a
I'll
month.
say, absolutely. I think it should be a rotating opportunity. And again, it's nothing that holds up the agenda from being set. It's just an opportunity.
Yeah.
And we felt it worked really well at the county and the township when we did it. And it helped staff and it helped make things go a little bit smoother with the agenda. So that was my idea.
Okay. Can I, even though I'm out of order, since it's about agendas, can I
Yeah.
put something in? Because I was looking at Garfield and the other townships I go to, and they carry unfinished business.
Mhm.
And we don't do that. I think we should have something like after the consent calendar, you've got the reports and they carry unfinished business. And I wish we carried that forward and then some new business after that.
We do it at my board. But it's only It's only when it's an item that's been tabled. We put tabled items under there because you are required to keep them on the agenda. And it would be something that you expect board action on. It's not, we don't use it that often, but we do have it. Phil's probably reading about it.
Well, I was looking at the order of business. And
Yeah, I think we follow Robert's rules here. I think it's the default setting for is Robert's rules.
Yeah, at the same time, as far as unfinished business goes, I mean, you are the chair and you can certainly set that as an agenda.
Well, there's things I'd like to keep. We discussed 3 things tonight that we really should be reminded next month to come back to. And do you mind if we?
No,
Do you mind if we?
I believe the chairman has the ability to change it out as they desire.
Well, I'm also a proponent of shorter meetings, which I have not engineered tonight at all, Joe. Thank you for letting me. Do you have more? Please, do you have more?
No, that was
comments,
it.
Joe?
You know what? We met just briefly ago, so I think I'm.
Okay.
All right. Wow. Okay, so Paul Bunyan, a couple things, statewide bridges, 8.44% under as far as the requests. Wetland board, they have 95 acres available. They're still looking for some acreage up here in this particular region. We don't have a lot here for the wetland mitigation. They've done 273 projects through this year so far as used 30 acres in the last 6-7 years of mitigation. It's interesting stuff. It's just statistics. This is a kind of a big one. The marijuana taxes have been collected and they're in Treasury, and the Treasury is still counting. They got their little beads going, and once they're cleared by Treasury, they can start filling buckets.
What about the lawsuit?
It's still going on.
I thought they couldn't distribute until the lawsuit.
Apparently, somewhere along the line, some court somewhere said, "Hey,
I was told they're going to distribute it, but if they lose, we're going to have to pay it.
We'll pay back." So this is only the first payment for the year. So here's what's going to happen. Those first buckets will be filled, and we are not in the first buckets. Okay?
Because
it's how it's arranged. The first buckets,
because it's
100 million for bridges.
yeah. So yeah.
Bridges, transit.
Right.
we've got some bridges that need to be replaced.
Yeah. So anyway, little statistic for people who always ask, as far as the amount we pay in taxes in Michigan, 52.4 cents a gallon. That's your road taxes, each gallon of gas, and then the federal government gets 18.4. So basically almost 71 cents total
Per gallon.
per gallon.
So who gets the other $4?
Well, it's not for me to,
But it's not listed on there.
No, well, that would be somewhere in the distribution, thing. And anyhow, I just thought that was an interesting statistic that everybody always wonders, how much in taxes are we paying? Oh, we're like paying like $5 a gallon of gas. No, it's not.
But of that percentage, or of those 78 cents, it goes to buses, trails, and roads.
And so there are people on both sides of the aisle who are talking about gas tax holidays. Discourage them. It is a mistake. I'm just saying, I'm not a big tax guy, but it wouldn't solve anything. And we do not want gas tax holidays. All righty. The other disaster declarations, FEMA, of course, we're dealing with FEMA, and we're getting a little bit of pushback in some areas, if I'm not mistaken. Road constructor is available, 166 licenses already out, and all right, now that was Paul Bunyan. The big thing, of course, is the taxes, the marijuana tax. I still think it's pretty cool. Like, get it flowing, and get the process going. They wouldn't likely do that unless they're pretty confident that there is a future for that. Okay. I have a question about to Dan and engineers and whatnot. You know, I saw the curbs getting cleaned. We're contracting apparently with MDOT to do the curbs along US 31 and that corridor north of South Airport. Our trucks were out there today, and I thought, you know, we spend an awful lot of time doing a lot of that maintenance and whatnot, and clearly we're getting reimbursed. It's not really it's not a cost to us necessarily. But I wanted to bring back the discussion of whether or not curbs are better than wide shoulders. And we still, with wide shoulders, we still have like high ridge removal and whatnot. So that means we still have maintenance to do. And it doesn't affect the water flows and everything too. I mean, where is the curb? Where's the real benefit of a curb? Ultimately, I guess is my question.
Pass it on. You have a good point. Is all the new MS4 regulations were now we're requiring where there's curb and gutter, we have to do that twice a year.
Yeah. Typically, the more urban,
yeah,
you'll see curbing, and that is because wide shoulders don't fit, and drainage ditches don't fit. So as roads get wider, it gets harder and harder to get a ditch in that can accommodate storm drainage. So an example of a road where you would be considering that is like South Airport past Costco and to 3 Mile.
Right.
We know that a third lane would do wonders for that stretch of road.
Right.
Once you do that, how do you get the water into the ditches without affecting property owners? So curb and gutters way.
We have drainage problems areas.
Yeah, there's drainage problems areas, and even getting storm drains underneath that very flat. Right. For sure you can figure it out and it can happen. But another thing it does is when you put a concrete curb right up against the asphalt, you don't see that edge break.
Right.
So if you have limited room for shoulders, like you always get that edge crack, that's a loading problem on the asphalt. So that curb backs that up and keeps it in place, and you don't get the edge crack.
You don't get the push out and everything. Okay.
Yeah. So when you have busy roads that are in an urban area and you don't have room for the drainage, curb and gutter, underground storm drainage is usually the best option. Now, if you've got room, for water quality reasons, for capacity reasons, ditches are the way to go. So it just really depends on your constraints.
Yeah. It became a curiosity because I was watching our crews taking a long time to get 100 feet, for example. It's like an all-day job just to do a quarter mile.
Well, and if you drive 31 through the beach district of East Bay, when those curbs are full of sand and it rains,
right?
It's all the water's in the road.
Right.
So,
and that also, so that brings me to the next thing we have. So I was watching that, and of course it backs up traffic a little. It wasn't too bad. Our guys, they're moving at least. PK. You mentioned that they've been instructed to do certain types of markings after 6. They don't care. They're still doing those markings. They're still backing up traffic. And the reason I called and I talked about this is I was driving north on 31 and traffic was backed up to the Applebee's from the Lowe's intersection. And it was moving very slow. People are getting anxious. And the other direction apparently is backed up past Myers. The people are getting anxious. And these guys are just out there sanding the special markings down and stopping traffic, even on the green light at the Applebee's. And it's kind of like, I'm a little irritated, but okay, they're doing this. And then car pulls in front of me. Okay, no problem. Car pulls in front of me. That happens. Makes a left turn at that. And these guys have no traffic control going whatsoever. Gets T-boned and is up on 2 wheels. And it just made me sad. It made me sad because I don't think, A, they should have been there. They should have been backing up that traffic in the middle of the day. 1:30 in the afternoon. And they weren't prepared for that stuff to happen. But they keep doing it. And they're still backing it up, and they're backing it up out here on Munson. The same way. Out in front of airport access. Now I realize these are MDOT contracts that they're fulfilling.
I did confirm that there was.
But I'm going to tell you something. They know that they should be doing that stuff at night. They know they should be doing it at night, or they should be doing South County, or they should be doing roads that are less traveled, and they don't have as much of an impact. And I'm not real happy. And frankly, I will likely have to think 5 times before I ever vote for a contract for those guys again, because they continue to do the same thing over and over. And I've been running into them nonstop in all kinds of places where they ought not be at the times of day they are. 5 o'clock today, out at Bay Street, Grandview Parkway. So anyway, that's all I got today. That's my wah, wah, wah moment for the day.
People know that the traffic is distressed around town, and all these things do not help us. Yeah. Don't help the anger of the other drivers. Public comment.
Oh, just keep it going longer. So I do see that the 5-year discussion does include North Long, Stray Road, and it's actually East Long, not West Long. But I'm glad you guys keep it on your agenda. Glad you keep on going through trying to find the money. That is one of the most talked about things in our township, especially with all the traffic that goes up and down North Long. And I drive that all the time, and so people jet out of there all the time. So I'm glad it's there. Hopefully get to the point of doing something someday.
Thanks. Thank you. Anyone else? All right.
I'll stay something.
Okay.
Do I have to go over there?
Sure.
Okay. So my name is Connie Sargent, and I live out in Old Mission. And I want to say, sorry, it's a couple minutes late, but thank you for approving that in one of the oldest drains of the county. And, we've had, our families owned that property since about 85. And in 18, we had major flooding. And that drain has been, the ditch, get my words right, has been completely ignored prior to the flooding. And we've, so I thank you that you did something, because I think our drain guys prior to that were not paying attention. They had trees growing up in the ditch, drain, whatever it is. And that area from Prescott Lake is really how it drains is really an issue out there. And it wasn't just this year. I've seen it a few other years also. And I'm so thankful that we put pumps out there this spring. I don't know if that was county or drain, but thank you for doing that. And I know it came as a crazy time in the county, but thank you for not ignoring us out there. Appreciate that. And I'm concerned that this could happen again next year. Couldn't it? In all of the county, we could have issues again. So I do appreciate that being addressed and maybe being efficient, and so that doesn't happen again. The other thing I want to thank you for is the brining that I heard you guys talk about. My neighbor, she says she can't even open up her windows in her house because the dust is so bad on the dirt road. She lives right by the post office out there. And I know that I live right across from Brinkman Road, and when the trucks, and there are trucks, I mean, it's just like a huge dust cloud. And I had to laugh one day because I think one of your guys, had come around the corner onto Swaney from Brinkman. He had his window open and he had to stop and cough, because the dust cloud was so big. So, the other issue, just a neighbor, I don't think the road was not being cleaned well. Could have used one of those things you complained about there, Jason. Those curb cleaners or
Oh,
whatever they are.
yeah.
He ended up taking his plow and kind of getting the dust and the stones and the whatnot after they fixed that area there on Swaney, and you know, because the ditch was the curb was destroyed, the road was sunken in, or not, you know, the stand was gone from underneath it. There were cones and then barriers and then pumps, and anyway, so I'm just saying he had to clean it himself, and so anyway. But thank you for all your hard work that you guys do.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Anything else? Okay, are we adjourned?
Very